Welcome everyone to episode 4 of the Circle Back podcast, the show where two great friends get together and talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufrenoy.
Hello.
Today we have a very special episode for you guys. It is Game of the Year time here at Circle Back.
It is time.
So we have a list of, I think the final count was 26 games. I think we have 26 or 27 games that we played this year. And we're basically, what we're going to do is me and Dan are going to go back and forth, cutting a game from the list. If one of us is passionate about it, we're going to argue for it, and maybe it'll stay on here until then. But what we're trying to do is get it down to 10 games, and then rank them from 10 to 1.
Right, so we're doing like a Circle Back podcast's top 10 games of the year.
This is our top 10. So it's really just going to be, we're going back and forth cutting games, and then, we'll narrow it down to our 10 favorite games.
Yeah, and it's just our opinions. It's not saying that,
that goes without saying. I mean, someone's game of the year is not even going to be on our list.
Right, exactly. So.
And there's plenty of games that we didn't play. Before we even jump into what is on this, out of this 26 or 27, I want to mention quickly Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy.
Oh my goodness.
Is great. It's not on this list because it's not a new game. Remastered.
I had so much fun with those.
It's excellent.
Oh, it's so great to get to play those.
Also, Full Throttle Remastered. Full Throttle is a great game. If nobody has played it and you like adventure games, it is way up there. It came out remastered on PS4 this year. It's incredible.
That's Tim Schafer?
Yeah, it's Tim Schafer. But, again, not in contention. It's an old game remastered. And then one quick thing. There are going to be games on this list that might be some of your favorite games, and we just didn't play them. So this is just what we played. One specifically that I want to shout out is Divinity Original Sin 2. Came out this year. The original Divinity Original Sin is one of my favorite games of the last few years. I don't have a good PC, so I wasn't able to play it. When it comes to PS4, probably next year, I'll play it and love it, I'm sure, but unfortunately I didn't have a chance to play it. And also games like Assassin's Creed, Uncharted Lost Legacy, we didn't play. It is what it is. These are the games that we played.
Happens. Life happens. You don't get to play everything you want to play.
And I think, honestly, there's more than enough amazing fucking games on this table that we don't have to sweat it.
What do you think about the fact that just 26 games is going to be tough?
Yeah. There's a lot of games.
There's a lot of games.
And a lot of great games. So, there might be a few off the beginning. Let's just jump right into it and we can get started.
So,
Dan, you're going to start it off. Who are you nominating to cut?
I think.
Oh wait! I'm sorry. We didn't actually read them. I got to read them. The full list. This is every game that we played this year. We have Tacoma, Pyre, Cuphead, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, Destiny 2, Hellblade, Prey, Little Nightmares, Snipper Clips, Mario Odyssey, Neo, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Middle-earth: Shadow of War, Everything, Resident Evil 7, Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator, Night in the Woods, Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata, Persona 5, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Yakuza 0, Doki Doki Literature Club, Nidhogg 2, Nex Machina, and What Remains of Edith Finch. So that's a complete list of games. We have them on index cards in front of us if you're just listening. Basically, you're going to, we just named all these games. A lot of these games you may not know. We are going to talk through them as we're cutting them or as we're saying that they're going to stay on the list. So as we cut them, we'll say either I'll fight for it to have it stay on, you'll fight for it to have it stay on the list, or we'll say, I think you're right, but I really love this game because of such and such. So we're going to dive into these games more. I just wanted to list them all out so that we have a full list of our, nominees.
Right, right, yeah.
But let's get started, Dan. What are you saying we're cutting?
Mario Odyssey was rubbish. No, I'm just kidding.
You prick.
All right, so now there's a lot of games on here that you've shown me about and told me about, and I just
we'll say also we haven't both played all of these games. There's going to be a few games on here that only one of us have played, but when we get down to the meat and potatoes, when we get to the real good stuff, we both have played 90% of it.
So
So what do you think?
So you showed me a little bit of everything.
Yeah, this game called Everything.
And it looks interesting. It looks like one of those sort of, you just kind of open sandbox. All right,
Yeah.
Try everything, go places. Kind of like a No Man's Sky kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
Thing,
Yeah.
And definitely interesting. Definitely.
But you don't think it hangs with the rest.
And to be fair, I didn't play it, but what I saw, interesting, but not enough to.
I'll say quickly. I agree. It's not going to hang to get to the top 10, so we can cut it. But I want to say the game. It's called Everything. It's very cool. Mm-hmm. It does a lot of weird shit. You're basically controlling every different object and animal and living and non-living on a planet. And you're transferring like your consciousness to all of them and like moving around. It does some cool stuff. They have some cool like David Attenborough. I think that's who it is.
Richard Attenborough. Right?
Richard Attenborough.
Yeah. Okay.
Richard Attenborough. Like they have his like voice talking over some of this stuff, like saying some funny like existential stuff as you're transferring to all these different creatures. I think it's a really cool game. I think it does not hang. You're right. So off the list.
You guys be so violent, dude.
I do.
It's okay, man.
I have to.
It's gonna be okay.
All right. I am proposing a cut.
Okay.
I will say that Middle Earth: Shadow of War does not belong on this list.
Okay. Now I know you love the
I did.
The original.
Shadow of Mordor, which is the first of this series, is incredible, and Shadow of War is a great game as well. It is. I think it's cursed by being more of the same.
Okay.
And I think it's also cursed by being... It kind of fast tracks you. So in the original, you basically... It brings you through slowly to get like the most interesting abilities. And by the end of the game, you're like super powerful. You can, transfer these orcs, like take them over to your side and help them. They'll fight on your side and stuff. In this game, it kind of fast tracks you to that because it's like, hey, you played the first one, you want all those cool abilities right off the bat. But it makes it less interesting because there's not much to do. I thought the Castle Siege stuff, or the keeps is what they call them, interesting idea. I was not hugely into it. I should say, for anyone that doesn't know, it's basically a third-person action game with like Batman-style combat. It's in the Lord of the Rings universe. The story, even in the first one, was shit, so I wasn't surprised that this one was shit. But I think even in the gameplay, it definitely had some really interesting things in the Nemesis system. Like some of the orcs that they created were very cool. It really was cursed by more of the same. It does not hang on this list.
Right. I remember the original, you were like really surprised by how much
it was one of my favorite games that year, no doubt about it. But I really do think that game specifically is way too much of more of the same. And that doesn't mean it's a bad game, but in a year of amazing games, it doesn't hang. Yeah. Well, we just learned that lesson, Dave.
I mean, I thought it was going to be cool, but all right.
What do you got for me, Dan?
Next Machina.
Next Machina, yeah.
Now, this is also another one that I haven't played.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is about like top-down perspective games, because I love games like Bastion and Transistor and things like that, but I don't know, it just doesn't. And again, not saying that it's a bad game, not saying that maybe I just never gave it a shot, or a fair shot at least, but I don't know. It just doesn't.
Yeah, that's fine. I think you're right. I mean, against the rest of these games,
comparatively to
Next Machina does not hang. I think I'm a huge fan of Housemarque, and they create mostly top-down twin-stick shooter like arcadey games.
Right.
I think this is a very good one of those. I think it's a little thin. I played it a lot when it came out, but you're right. It does not hang.
I am curious though. Like this was a great year for video games. I'm curious, like how many of the games that we've just thrown. I mean, it wasn't a lot, but the games that we're going to throw, like other years where they would...
There's no denying this is one of the absolute best years in gaming ever.
Yeah. Okay,
and,
so
we'll when the top 10 list is finalized, we'll read through that and be like, this might be the best top 10
year
ever. Yeah, so we'll
some
talk
of these
about
games
that.
Are some of my favorite
but you're right,
games
Next Machina does not hang. It's gone.
It's out of here.
All right. Next for my cut, I'm going to do Snipper Clips. Snipper Clips was a Switch. Yeah, I don't know if it was launch or if it was like the week after. It was like definitely right around launch for the Switch. It's a very cool co-op game where you basically, it's like a one-room puzzle room where you and the other player have to cut each other into different shapes to try to solve the puzzles, pretty much. Really cool game, really fun to do with multiple people. But again, it's kind of a shallow experience. It has some cool ideas. Some of these games are incredible. This does not hang.
Okay, that's out.
Out.
Let me look. Let me think.
It's funny. It's gonna.
It's gonna creep up on us really quickly.
Even when we're down to like 20, we're gonna be like, oh shit.
All right.
These are really good.
All right, here's one that I have played and I really, really enjoyed. Nidhogg 2. Yeah. That's a lot of fun. That's a very fun game. That's a fun game to play with your friends.
Yep.
I really, really enjoyed it. I think we played it together.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. It's just gruesome, and you just fight, and you just try to get to the end of the screen and killing each other.
Yeah, it's a side-scrolling. If you have not played the original Nidhogg, this is very much similar. They added a couple extra weapons and stuff, and the art style is totally different. It's really cool. It's really cool,
hack
but
and slash and shoot.
It really is just two. It's you and the other person with the controller. You're face to face, and it's like a dueling game. You have swords. You have to stab each other, kill them, get to the other side of the screen. It's first person to get to the end of their screen wins. So it's a really cool co-op, fun little competitive game. I agree. I don't think it hangs.
Yeah, awesome, a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Compared to some of these masterpieces.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
All right.
All right, I'm going to take out Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator.
Okay.
So I'll talk a little bit about it. For anyone that does not know what a dating simulator is, I'll briefly say that because it's kind of a shitty genre usually, and it's usually like terrible games, honestly. But this one is basically like a fully based on humor and like ridiculous situations. You're this like dad, this like corny dad with a 17-year-old daughter who's about to go to college, and you're moving into this new area of town, and you live on this cul-de-sac with like 6 other single dads and their daughters. So what's good about the game is basically the writing is incredible, dad puns are hilarious. Like it's just a really well-written game. Again, I think it's a little shallow. I think the stories are good, the characters are good, but as an overall experience, I just don't think. I didn't really tell you what a dating simulator was, but it's basically text. There's no speech, but it's art with text, and you're picking dialogue options.
Hey,
in
I
order.
like you. I like
yeah,
you
but you're
too.
picking options, and they'll react, if they like what you said or not, and then you end up, dating them or not dating them. It's a silly thing, and it's usually like Japanese anime, like weird, like overly sexualized, too young of girls, like bad. But this one's really fun. Dream Daddy is good. It's totally ridiculous, and it's funny, but it does not hang here.
Okay.
So that one's gone.
All right. I'm going. All right.
Oh God.
And now it's getting a little tough.
Oh God.
Okay.
Let's see which one of my babies you're gonna kill.
I know, because now we're really down to it, and some of these I didn't get a chance to play, just to show that I'm not. Usually 100% Mario games, I am 100% down.
Mm-hmm.
Usually any sort of Mario game, I will buy the day it comes out. I will play it. I will beat it. Mario Rabbids didn't
do it for you.
Didn't even interest me to get it. And again, I'm not saying
I'm not going to defend it because it's not going to be on the top 10. It doesn't hang to that extent. It's a fucking awesome game. Yeah. I love Mario plus Rabbids. I'm super surprised that it was this good because when it got announced, I was like, this is going to be a shitty, nothing game. It is basically XCOM combat, if anyone knows what that is. It's like a strategy game, turn-based. You have a party. You hide behind cover to avoid shots. It's like a weird-ass game. Totally awesome that Nintendo allowed them to do this. And it actually is a fantastic game.
Yeah.
The reason I don't think it hangs is because by the end of that game, you're like done with it.
Yeah, okay.
It has some difficulty spikes that are a little annoying, and it does drag on a little too long, in my opinion. I really, really like this game, and I had a great time playing it. But I agree. I don't think it hangs.
I think it just shows I'm not biased towards Mario games. That's pretty impressive.
That's true, but
Yeah,
but it is a great game. I love that game.
Yeah.
Anyone that likes turn-based,
and that's the
XCOM style games. That's really what it is. It's like, if anyone's played Fire Emblem, similar. That you're moving. You have a certain number of tiles you can move and then attack.
It's like Stratego, kind of. It's like a
sure.
Like I said, I love Mario games.
It's a great game, but you're right. It's not gonna.
I will buy any Mario game, but it just didn't inspire me.
Yeah. All right, I hear you.
Like I said, not saying it's a bad game. That's just my opinion.
All right, I'm gonna make the tough cut right now. I'm gonna get rid of Destiny 2.
We knew that was coming.
Destiny 2. I've said it before. You've heard it here on this podcast. I played it a lot. I played it for like 80 hours or something. I played with my friends. I really enjoyed it when I was in the moment. When I stopped playing it, I stopped thinking about it entirely. I have no desire to go back to it. New expansions coming out or already came out. I don't even know. I have no interest in playing it anymore. I don't know why. It's weird, but it just doesn't have any lasting appeal to me. It added a story mode. So the first one had a story mode. It added a more emphasis on the story, and I just don't think it succeeded in that story. It was a shitty story, in my opinion. But fun to play with friends. Does not hang on this list.
I'm curious, did the original Destiny land anywhere when you were doing, I forget what year that came out?
2013?
14? 13?
13, I think.
I wonder if that was that.
No, I kind of had similar feelings, actually.
Okay.
I played it much less because I kind of beat the story mode and got to the max. The original Destiny had a lot more issues with progression than Destiny 2 did, so I was able to play this one for longer, but overall, don't think it hangs. I enjoyed my time with it. I do not look back on it particularly fondly, but that's it for me.
Yeah.
See you later, Destiny 2.
Okay.
What do you got for me?
All right, so now, damn, it's getting hard.
Yeah, I know.
And like to preface, we didn't even we barely talked about this beforehand. So this is just right off the cuff. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna take.
Little Nightmares?
Little Nightmares.
Yeah.
I mean, this is tough because a very, very interesting game. I actually didn't play it, but I remember it was actually my sister. Hi, Noel. My sister, her friend told her to tell me that I should check out this game, and I was looking it up, and it looked really interesting. It looked really, really creepy, and it looked like something wow, that's something that I'd be into. And it looks weird, and it looks interesting and eerie, and I think I'd really, really enjoy something like that. But looking it up and watching it again, not to say maybe a lot of the when you only have so much money and only so much time, and you're like, all right, well, what am I going to spend my money on? What am I going to play?
Yeah.
If it doesn't say that's something that I would enjoy, you don't really, pick it up. So it just didn't.
I'll say I played through Little Nightmares, and
I'm gonna think it's a bad game.
I think it's very good. I think it definitely wears its what do you call it? What am I thinking of?
It's welcome?
No, it's inspirations on its sleeve. That's what I'm trying to say. It is very much Limbo and Inside.
Okay, and I love those games.
And they're great games.
Favorite games ever.
And so, in turn, this is a very good game. It knows what it is, and it is like, hey, we are that type of game. But it does not have anywhere near the emotional resonance of those games, in my opinion. And the intrigue is there. It's interesting. It's a little more like... The art style is very disturbing.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it's really cool. I like Little Nightmares a lot. I think in another year, it might land somewhere on a top 10 list. It might be like number 10 or something. I think in this year, it doesn't stand a chance. So I agree with the cut.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Oh, boy.
Here we go.
All right. I'm going to cut. Oh, shit.
How many games do you have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 games.
We have to get 7 of these.
Dude, we talked about, we were like, all right, well, there's at least 15 amazing games of all time on here. Like,
yeah, this is dangerous. All right, I have to do it. I'm going to get rid of my good friend here, Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 is by far the best Yakuza game, in my opinion. If nobody has played it, this is a great jumping on point. It is a third-person action game, you can call it, I guess, but the reason that you're really there is for the story and the weird, like, little side quests in it. It's basically like a Japanese crime drama about the Yakuza and, like, you know, whatever. And this is like it's, you know, they call it Yakuza 0 because kind of like a prequel to the series.
Okay.
So you're getting introduced to these main characters as they, you know, became part of this whole situation. The thing that I love about this game is that it is hilarious in certain ways, and it's totally ridiculous sometimes, but then it randomly will go to this very serious, very dark, you know, moment where like a main character is dying or something, or someone gets shot, or, you know, it goes to some crazy places. But I just showed you recently.
Yeah, the cabaret scene, that was so cool.
Yeah, the introduction in this game to Goro Majima is like one of my favorite moments of the year, honestly. Even if you're not gonna play this game, go on YouTube, type in Majima Yakuza 0 Majima intro. And watch that scene because it is hilarious and it's really well done.
Yeah, so cool.
I really like it. If you have any interest in this type of game, I would recommend playing it. But I will say, I think it wore out its welcome a little bit by the end. It was a very long game, and it kind of didn't keep my attention at certain points. So
that's fair.
Not a perfect game. It's a lot of fun. I really like the style of it. You know, the story is great. I think the combat is also pretty poor. So I'm gonna say this one is cut. Yakuza 0. I loved you, but you're gone.
But isn't that crazy though? Like how, like, now that we're getting down to it, it's just like what we're picking. Like it's so hard. It's like, wow, this is an amazing game, but we're like picking out like little things to be like, well, it's so
that's what this is all about, Dan.
It's so
just
tough.
Wait until we get further in. It's gonna be even worse.
I know, it's tough.
We're gonna be talking bad about all our favorite games.
It's tough. Yeah. It's.
All right. What do you got for me?
Now. Tacoma.
Fuck.
Tacoma I did not play.
I know. I don't know if I'm ready for it. I want to talk through it.
Now, fight me.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Put up the gloves.
It's hard to fight you when you didn't play it, but I'm gonna explain why I think it's a great game, and it still might go. I'm not sure if I'm gonna fight for it or if we're gonna let it go.
Okay.
Tacoma is the guys that made Gone Home, Fulbright. You're basically.
Oh, crap, I love Gone Home.
Yeah, it's really good.
What was it, Xbox One?
It's only on Xbox One and PC.
Okay.
It might not even be on PC. But Tacoma is basically you're coming to this space station that's been abandoned, and you don't know why, and you're going through. They basically have this like AR simulation, so you put these two little nodes on your head when you get on the space station. And then you can see AR, it's basically like wireframe versions of people. So it's like polygonal representations of what these people look like. So like you don't see any facial features or anything. You just see them moving around. And the whole shtick of the game is there are these video segments of AR that's moving around you. And you hit play and all these people are walking in different directions and stuff, and you're walking with them. So it's like two people might split off this way, and it's like, all right, I'm going to go follow them and listen to their whole conversation. So you're listening to them, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to rewind. I heard all that they have to say. Go follow the other two people, play through the same time because it's like one video and everyone's doing their own thing, and so you're listening to the video trying to figure out what happened here.
That's interesting. I like those sort of games.
It's fucking awesome. I love Tacoma.
Like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Like that's sort of like you just kind of go around, you pick up the story through.
It's very similar to that. I mean,
I'm sorry I picked this one.
All that. It has all that DNA of Gone Home and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and stuff like that. But I think that what makes this game really good is that the human, Gone Home did the human moments really well.
Oh man, definitely.
It wasn't that the overarching story was great. It was getting to know these characters was great. And Tacoma does that just as well as Gone Home does, honestly. It's a very good game. I think I'm going to actually say that I think we should keep it on for now.
For now? That's fair. Now. Okay.
I think there's other things that can get cut. It may not make the top 10. I can't let it go yet. I'm going to let it hang. I'm going to let it hang.
Okay.
I want you to propose something else then.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now.
There's no hard and fast rule of how many we can keep, but it's if you have a good reason to keep it, then we'll fight for it.
All right.
When it gets down to it.
So the same sort of thing I said with Little Nightmares, and I forget what other game I said that about, where I knew enough about, and I never got around to it.
Yeah.
Was Neo. I never got around to it. I know it's like a Dark Souls type thing, and I know that's become sort of like a trope when it comes to video games. So people will be like, "Oh, well, that's like Dark Souls. Oh, well, it's like Dark Souls. Oh, that's like Dark Souls." But like watching it's really very much like Dark Souls.
And all right, let me talk about Neo because I played about 45 hours of Neo.
Okay, and it looks awesome. I mean, now that we're getting down to it, every single one of these games.
Yeah, it goes without saying. We're going to be talking about the things we don't like about these games.
And Neo looked sick. Neo looked really cool. Neo was on my radar to play, and I just never got around to it. I just never...
I'll talk about Neo real quick because it is a great game, and it is Dark Souls. It takes Dark Souls, almost everything that you like about Dark Souls, takes it, and the only things it majorly changes is, number one, it's in feudal Japan. Very cool setting.
That's awesome.
There's
so
a lot
a samurai?
You're a samurai. You're literally a samurai.
See, that's cool. That's really
very cool. The gameplay is much faster than Dark Souls.
Okay.
The combos come out faster. It plays a little bit more like an action game than a Dark Souls does, because Dark Souls is very slow, deliberate combat. Bloodborne kind of waged into this territory a little bit. Neo takes it even a step further. It has the combat in which you can die at any moment and you can get stun locked and stuff.
Yeah. And
it's very fucking hard, but it definitely is faster combat. I really love some of the boss design. It's right up there. It is right there with Dark Souls. It's missing a little something, in my opinion, that holds it down a little bit from the level that Dark Souls and those games are on.
Did you say that game was just as good as Dark Souls? I was like,
no,
geez, then I gotta buy it.
It's now. Close. It is close. I would say, it's just a step below it. I really enjoy this game, but as far as what we're looking at here, I just don't think it's gonna hang either. I think you can cut it.
I mean, definitely something I'd want to try out and play.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
But like I said, there's just so many games here, and
yeah.
The hours I've spent on all these games is crazy.
Yeah.
I wish I got paid to play them. That'd be really cool.
That'd be nice, wouldn't
it? Money I'd make. Oh, anyway, all right.
All right. I'm gonna cut Doki Doki Literature Club. This game, I'm going to explain because it's a weird name, and I don't know if anyone has any idea what this game is. It's, again, a dating sim, like I talked about with Dream Daddy, but this game has some interesting turns that it takes, and it basically starts out for 2 hours. It starts out as you're this high school kid, who your friend drags you into this after-school club. It's a literature club. You're writing poetry. It's really silly, and there are all these beautiful girls in the club, and they're all in love with you, and they're trying to steal you away from each other and stuff. And it's really dumb. And I was playing this game, and I was like, I fucking hate this. This is bad. I don't want to play this anymore. But I know just from hearing people writing about it and stuff, I knew that there was a turn that it was going to take. So I stuck it out, and I'm glad I did because it's a great game. It basically. The first playthrough ends with one of your friends hanging herself, and it was totally out of left field.
You showed me the video, and you're just like, she goes, "Oh, I like you," and then like the next cut is her just in the room.
Yeah, it's bad, but it's interesting because the game starts to glitch out at that point, and it basically says, like, it basically, you actually see glitches in the game, and it cuts you out, and you start a new game, and that character is not in that game anymore. So then you're playing through, and you're like, this is fucking weird. I don't know what's going on, and then you basically. You continue on through the game without that character, and then things start to happen, more glitches come in, characters are saying things that are like really vulgar, like they wouldn't normally say, like it's very weird, and then you realize that it's like super fourth wall breaking, and there's one of the girls is like, she knows that she's in a video game, and she's like playing, like being puppet master to the rest of the girls, and what it does that's really cool at the end of this game. We didn't say it in the beginning, but you gotta know. We're doing Game of the Year. It's gonna be spoilers for every single game on this list. So everything is getting spoiled. All these games, if you haven't played, I'm sorry, it is what it is.
We should put like on the tag, like spoiler.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. We'll warn you guys somehow. But at the end of Doki Doki Literature Club, you're face to face with this girl Monica, who's like the puppet master. You're in this space station. It looks like the world around her is dead, and she's basically saying like, oh, now it's just me and you forever because she killed the other two. And you have to literally go into the file in, like, I had it on Steam. I had to go into the Steam game files, hit like game data, go into the characters folder, and highlight Monica's character and hit delete. And it's like, are you sure you want to delete this? Yes. And then next time you launch the game like freaks out and glitches out, and Monica's not in the game anymore. And then you start playing again without this, evil overlord. And there are still some more turns it takes, but it's just really, it's an interesting game, and it does a really good job with like freaky, fourth wall breaking, like psychological horror stuff. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, Doki Doki Literature Club is very good. It's a fucking slog to get through the first 2 hours, but it pays off, I will say, for sure, in the long run. But I think it should get cut.
All right, that's fair.
What do you got for us, Dan?
Dan, not now.
What do you got for us?
Now this is where it gets really, really hard.
Yeah. Should we read what we have right now?
Let's read what we have. So
yeah, let's pull them down a little bit. Let's
read what we have, because these are all masterpieces.
We have Prey, Tacoma, Pyre, Resident Evil 7, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, Cuphead, Mario Odyssey, Night in the Woods, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. I didn't add that on there. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is what it's called. Horizon Zero Dawn, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Nier Automata, Persona 5, and What Remains of Edith Finch. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Daniel. 4 of these games will not be on this list.
Daniel, I can't even.
Yeah, well, you got to pick one, Dan. Them's the rules.
Okay. This is stupid.
Gotta get top 10.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to propose. Mm-hmm. I know this is going to be shocking. Mm-hmm. This is going to be very, very shocking.
All right, what are you going to propose?
Okay. Res 7? Okay, this is my reasons.
Uh-huh.
All right, and we could totally fight this. Now, Resident Evil 7, I love the Resident Evil franchise, and believe it or not saying that, I sound like a hypocrite, because I actually didn't play Resident Evil 7. I played the demo, and I watched playthroughs, and it actually terrified me so much, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get through this game, so I'm just not going to play. I watched an hour of the beginning of the game, when, like, spoilers, your wife gets, like, insane, and then I watched, like, an hour of the end, and I was like, wow, this is really scary. And it was a time when the VR came out, and all my friends were like, oh, we should play this game on the VR. And I'm just like, no, this isn't happening. And the demo freaked me out enough, and I didn't pick it up. Having said that, I'm so glad that this game did come out, because Resident Evil was really, really slipping. I mean, we all love Resident Evil 4. We all thought it was amazing. But then it just kind of dropped off. It just didn't, Capcom kind of lost the magic touch. I'm so glad this came out. This rejuvenated the franchise.
I agree.
And
yeah,
I love what it did.
What I want to say, I played through Resident Evil 7. I have a PSVR. I played it in VR.
How did you handle that?
It's absolutely terrifying in VR. I couldn't play the whole game in VR. I played the beginning. I made my friends play it. It was a lot of fun. Resident Evil 7 could have been one of the best games. Well, could have been on this list, but I hate the final third of that game. It's not good, and there's way too much. There are certain times where let me talk about the good first. Resident Evil 7, amazing survival horror game. It really brings it back to its roots. I love the game. It's scary. It's a lot of fun. The beginning of that game is incredible, and that whole area where you're in the mansion is awesome. It's so good. But once you get out of that mansion, it starts to slip a little bit. You get through, when you're in the mansion, you're like finding keys to open doors. You're doing this, you're doing that. It feels like Resident Evil. Then you go into the other house. The mom is there, and she has all these bugs. It's a little weird. It starts slipping a little bit. By the final third, when you're in the mines and stuff, it is just not fun.
Yeah.
So it's 1/3. That first third would be top 5 on this list, even with these great games.
Well, that's the thing. I love even just, again, it was all me just doing my own research. I didn't actually play it, but, when you have like that Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of thing where you're sitting and your family's all
but
there
that
and eating
beginning area is so good. And then you end up going into the mines, you go on this like old ship, and it's like, all that shit is bad. Okay. It's not good. It kind of jumped the shark, but I love the game overall anyway, and I think you're right, it's not going to hang on.
I know this could be in a lot of people's top 10s, and I definitely think that...
Too many good games, man.
Any other year, that would have been a top 5.
Resident Evil 7, off the list.
Okay. That's probably the hardest.
Yeah, we're getting down to it.
Oh, my man.
All right, I'm going to propose something. I'm going to say, what do you think about putting some games that we know are going to be on the final top 10?
Okay.
Like saving them. That way we can lower our pool that we're trying to eliminate from. What do you think about that?
Fine.
Cool with that?
That's fine. Okay. So, all right. So let's each pick a couple of games.
Let's just do a few. We don't need a certain number.
I think there's certain ones that we can agree on. Will be top 10.
Mario Odyssey will be on the list.
And Zelda will be.
Zelda will be on the list.
I think we both agree.
I think Nier will be on the list.
Fair.
I think Wolfenstein will be on the list.
Definitely. We know we both love that. I just played Night in the Woods. I freaking love Night in the Woods.
It's amazing.
Okay.
No. Night in the Woods is a great game, and I think it will end up on the list. I don't think it's
top tier.
No, it could be top tier. I'm just saying I don't think it's an automatic you're on the list game.
Fair.
I think we have the ones that are automatic you're on the list.
I mean, Persona 5?
Yeah, Persona 5.
I think Persona 5.
All right, so those 5 tentatively are on the list, and then these are the ones that we're trying to cut from.
That's 5. Okay.
If we decide at any point that one of those is going to come off for some of these,
games, though.
Damn, this is what we did for ourselves.
What are we, like masochists or something?
All right, so we need to get these 8 games down to 5. I'm going to read the 8 that that are in our little pool right here.
Okay.
Prey, Pyre, Hellblade, What Remains of Edith Finch, Tacoma, Cuphead, Night in the Woods, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Why is Horizon Zero Dawn not up? I feel like that I'd argue that would be a top 10.
I think it probably will be, but I don't think that's a guarantee.
Okay. All right, fair. All right. I think it was your turn to pick anyway.
Yeah, it was.
That was like really evil. That's probably the most evil I've ever been in my entire life.
You're always evil.
I'm always evil.
All right.
Always.
Here's a discussion I want to have. You ready for this?
I don't think so. I'm nervous.
I want to say What Remains of Edith Finch and Tacoma are very similar types of games.
Okay.
Now, we have both played What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yes.
And only I have played Tacoma.
Okay.
I believe that Tacoma is a better game than What Remains of Edith Finch.
Okay.
But I want to talk about What Remains of Edith Finch, and I want to figure out if this is going to stay on the list.
Okay.
Tell me what you love about What Remains of Edith Finch.
What Remains of Edith Finch? Who did the Giant Sparrow?
Giant
right?
Sparrow, yeah.
And they did The Unfinished Swan, which is one of my all-time favorite games. What I loved about this, it kind of has that Gone Home kind of thing where you go into all these different rooms. The Finches were a family that just, spoiler alert, everybody died, and everybody died these really weird, like crazy, extreme deaths.
Yeah, well, I'll do the early setup, and then we can talk about specific moments. The early setup is you're this girl with a journal, and you're walking into the Finch residence, right? And you basically are walking in, and there are all these rooms that are sealed off. You can look through them in peepholes. And what happens is, whenever a member of this family, this Finch family, dies, they seal the room, they seal the door, as it was when they died. Right. So they leave them as like time capsules for when these people died, and it's very like storybook style. It's a lot of, narrator talking about the Finch family. It's really well done. But what I want to hear is some of your favorite moments in the game and why you think this game should stay on the list.
Well, this is where, now that we're getting into this, now that we're stacking up these games to each other, and it's really tough where you can say, well, this game was perfect from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I love What Remains of Edith Finch, but I would say that it wasn't. I feel like, so I don't know how many family members you go through. There's maybe, I don't know, this is maybe just like a guess. There's maybe like 12 to like 15. I'm not sure how many people exactly. There was maybe about like half of those where I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then the other half where it kind of fell off. There was some...
We should say the gameplay mechanic is you get into this person's room and you look at some like memento of theirs, and it brings you into the moments before they died.
Right. So
that's the point of the game. That's like how the game goes. So it'll like teleport you into this person's final moments before they die.
Right.
And they're all done with different styles. One of them is like a comic book that's
like creepy magazine, like from the 50s.
Yeah, it's like an old horror magazine that you're like looking through, but then it like brings you in on the panels, and it's like an old horror movie.
Right.
Like it's very Halloween. It actually plays the theme of Halloween.
Yeah.
So I want to hear some of your favorite of those moments.
Some of my favorite moments. There was the one where the father was forcing his daughter to like shoot a deer, and like you had to like. Take and she was like hysterical about it. She's like, no, I don't want to do it. And there was just this whole, he's trying to like
she went on a camping trip with him, and she loved photography, so she was taking pictures of nature and stuff, and it kind of plays out as a story of photographs where it's you're actually controlling her with the camera taking pictures, and then it's like you see her with the gun and she's not comfortable with it, and
eventually what happens is she gets the deer isn't dead and kills the father, and she gets the snapshot of that. I thought that was really,
he's trying to hold up the deer like for the picture, and the deer like kicks him off or something. He falls off a cliff and dies.
The one where they complete ode to the Unfinished Swan, where the king from the Unfinished Swan was one of the people.
That was incredible.
That legit brought
very cool.
My eyes are a little misty with that one. I was just like, oh, and they play the music, and you're just like, oh, man.
That was very cool.
But then some of them where I was kind of thrown off was the one where, it was actually the first one where the girl was like, I was so hungry, I ate everything.
Yeah,
I turned
changing
into a cat,
different animals.
And I turned into a squirrel, and then I turned that one fell off for me. The one where the kids at the wedding and the storm picks up, that one kind of...
Which one was that?
The one where they're having like a wedding, and the kid's like outside.
Oh, with the swing?
With the swing?
Oh,
no, the kite. Yeah, that one.
That one was a whiff.
So there was
But here's what I want to say. I have two in particular in my mind that I really love.
Yeah.
One of them was when you're chopping the fish heads.
Oh, that was fantastic.
You're chopping, you're working, so you're this brother that obviously has like some mental issues, and he's working in like a fishery. He's chopping off the heads of the fish to like, that's his job. So you're controlling the chopping of the fish, but you're also controlling like his imagination on the ground, and you basically are like walking through this world that's like ever building and evolving. You're doing like it's becoming like different perspectives
like
and
a
stuff.
King and,
he's becoming a king. It's like all this crazy stuff, and then at the end you realize that he's like walking up the thing where all the fish heads go to get grinded up, and he
puts his head into the
it was rough, but it was very effective what they did.
Yeah,
I also thought the one with the baby was pretty effective.
Oh, in the bathtub?
Yeah. You have this little point of view of a baby in a bathtub, and there's he has all these like little
Ducky
ducks
frogs
and toys, and you're bouncing around as a baby, and then you end up realizing that you drown as a baby. So it deals with some really heavy stuff, but it does it in this like storybook, whimsical kind of way.
Right. What did you think about the? I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
No, you didn't.
What did you think about the ending? The whole when you're being born kind of thing. I know a lot of people have like different.
I thought it. I actually liked it. I did. I think what this game did, it had moments that wowed me, but as an overall package, I think it's not as strong as some of these stories.
That's
here.
fair.
That's what I'm saying. So fair. I want to know what you think. I personally think that Tacoma is a stronger story and a stronger evaluation of these characters. Like you dive deep into the characterization. So I want to know: do you have that much reverence for what remains of Edith Finch to fight me on this?
There's moments. It's kind of like you said with I forget what game you mentioned. Was it Yakuza? Where you were like, okay, well, this has some of my favorite moments, but as a whole, What Remains of Edith Finch is one of my favorite moments in video games. Yeah. I'm telling you, when they did that ode to the unfinished swan, and I was just like, oh my god. Yeah. Just a really. What's hard for me is I didn't play Tacoma, and that's why I can't make a fair judgment. When you were like, let's make your lists. Write out all the lists of all the games you played and make your top 10. What Remains of Edith Finch was just like 11, 12. So I'm okay with that. There's certain ones I will fight though to be on the top 10. So don't think I'm just being agreeable.
All right. What do you got for me?
Oh, it's my turn?
Yeah.
All right, Dan.
Oh no. What are we gonna do here?
All right, Danielson. I know you love this game.
I want you to hear it. I want to hear it.
I do love this game too.
Fucking say it, you bastard. Oh no.
Prey is a fantastic game. It's an awesome game. It's an awesome game, right? I don't know if we talked about this in earlier episodes, but I'll just give you the lowdown. You're in this space station somewhere in the future, and aliens, are all around, and you wake up, you don't have any memory of what's going on, and there's this video of you telling you, no, you need to blow up this space station because there's these terrible things happening. You're the only one that can fix this, yet it's your brother that's running everything, and there's just all this stuff. It's really like a BioShock first-person shooter where you just kind of go around and you pick up pieces of what happened on this space station as you go. A lot of exploration. I don't know if I'm just rambling. I hope I'm making that sound.
Here's what I'm going to say. I love Prey. It's definitely on my personal top 10. I would say I'm going to say the things that I love about it, and then I'm going to say the bad things about it. The things that I love about this game is that the overall story, like the idea of the story, is incredible. But awesome. The execution and as it goes on, it kind of gets a little tedious. The overall story of like, you're this scientist that basically is like, you don't really know what your role is right away, but you eventually realize that like you are the head of this place, mm-hmm. and you've been deleting your own memories and leaving yourself recordings because, you're starting to become alien. Because you're injecting yourself with this stuff is a really great concept, and I love it. And I think the opening hour of this game is one of the best opening hours.
Well, that's what hooked me when you showed me. You said, "Dan, try this out."
It's so cool. It starts. Anyone should play that first hour. I think there's actually a demo. I think there is.
Oh, good. Yeah, try that.
Try this first hour because it will hook you. You start out and you're in the space station. You're like getting your clothes on, going to work regularly. You're like, everything's normal. You go into this test lab, and the scientists are behind glass and like, all right, we'd like you to press the button as fast as you can. So you walk across the room, press the button, and they're like, okay, move on. Yeah. Next one is like, all right, hide as well as you can. There's a chair there. You like go behind the chair, crouch. They're like, what is he doing? I don't understand. They're like, okay, anyway, let's move on to the next one. And then they start like getting loud, and you're like, what's going on? Then all of a sudden, the guy's coffee cup attacks him. It's a mimic, which is like the type of alien. It can become any different shape. So you get knocked out unconscious. You wake up. looks like it's the same day again. You're like, what the hell? It looks the same. You put on your clothes again like normal. You walk out, not the same. Yeah. Everything's screwed up. The engineer that was out there fixing the elevator or whatever is now dead. So you're like, what the hell's going on? You don't know where to go. You walk back into your room, and this whole time your room is a big window out into a city, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like, oh man, this is cool. Like, I work in this building in the city. So you're like, how do I escape? All right, I guess I got to break this window. And you break the window with your wrench, and it breaks through, and it turns out it was a screen.
Right, yeah.
And really what was on the other side is more of the lab. So you realize you're on a space station, you're in a lab, they're doing tests on you. You don't know what's going on. It's a really cool opening. I freaking love this game, but I think we're really getting down to tough stuff here. And I think Prey can go.
But this is why...
The reasons that I want to say... I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
I want to say the reason that I'm saying I think Prey can go is because it totally could have been like one of my favorite games of all time. It totally could have been. It drops off hard. The story drops off. There's way too many enemies. The combat was never very good. What I do love is that it's completely systems driven. There are people walking around.
Right.
You can let somebody out of like a jail cell, or you can just leave them.
Or
in
you
there.
can kill them, and
or you can kill them. You can kill anybody in
the
the story. It's very cool. I love systems driven games like that. We'll definitely touch a lot more on that in Breath of the Wild because that's one of the best examples of a systems driven game that does it well. Prey does that really well.
It does.
What Prey does not do well is the combat. And the overarching story falls off big time.
Well, that's why Prey. So I didn't pick this up when it came out. It came out like in June, I think, and
May, yeah,
May. And I just didn't get around to it, and I eventually did. It was at GameStop for like $20 or whatever. So, oh yeah, I remember Dan. He showed me a little bit of that. That looked awesome, and I loved it. And the first 10 hours was like really, really, really cool, and you're exploring.
It's too long.
And we've talked about that too, where sometimes games overstay their welcome.
Yeah.
Where I loved exploring. That world is so cool, and I really, really enjoyed.
Go on.
No, I was gonna say even in the beginning, what's so cool is when you go into that one room, right, and it shows the history of the space station. Like John F. Kennedy's still alive.
Yeah,
he's like 130 years old.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's just
and you
like
realize why they're in space at such a good time. Like the whole backstory of it's very cool. The thing that this game should have done, in my opinion, to be a better game, and I know it's hard to say, hey, I wish this game was a different type of game and that I would like it more. If this game was an 8-hour version of like a Tacoma Gone Home style game, with
100%,
take out the combat, make it a cool exploration sci-fi game with puzzle solving. That's one of my favorite games of all time.
But the enemies, though, when you walk into a room and there's like 7 phantoms and all you have is 3 bullets and you're just like...
It's so frustrating.
And they start shooting things at you and you just get hit and you're dead. Yeah. And you're like, now I gotta do that again.
It's frustrating.
The
characterization, the emails in this game, if you read the emails at the different terminals, some of the side stories in this game are so incredible.
Yeah, it's a beautifully well-made game. And
there's so much that I love about it.
It's very dense and very rich.
I absolutely adore this game, but I think the bad... doesn't outweigh the good. It's still a great game, but for this list, the amount of bad that's on it, I think it has to
I didn't think you were going to agree with me on that. I thought you were going to.
No, I'm going to fight on that. There's too many good games here, Dan.
Bye, Fred.
Dan, you realize what we need, right? We need one more game.
Take one more off.
One more off, and we have our top 10.
Yep.
All right. So, I'm gonna propose something, and I want to hear what you have to say about it. I don't think Hellblade is the top 10 game of the year.
I will. I'm happy to fight you on that.
I want to hear why you love Hellblade.
Hellblade is like a game that I've never played before.
Mm-hmm.
There's combat, and I know combat can be tedious, but just as an overhaul, to explain to those people that maybe haven't heard of it.
Tell me what this game is.
Played of it. It's a third-person adventure kind of, but
close camera really, behind the back, like Last of Us, God of War.
But it's mostly like puzzle solving, and mostly it deals with it's like Norse mythology, and you're this Nordic woman named Senua, and she's battling mental illness and psychosis, and through the entire journey, the whole thing is that she has these voices in her head, and it's so cool, and especially playing with it, in a dark room with the sound, blasting, you'll go to an area and you'll hear like you can't do it. No, you're not going to do it. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Yeah,
And then,
the sound design in this game is absolutely incredible. It's like you wear headphones, and it really sounds like all these different voices are talking to you throughout the whole game because she does have, some mental illness.
Right.
And so she's hearing all these voices in her head the whole time, and it's really effective.
It really is effective.
That's the one part of the game that I do enjoy. I think some of the puzzles are not fun and a little annoying, and I think the actual gameplay is pretty poor. But
that's fair, but I think it's all worth it, because I think when you go to what it's all about, Senua isn't battling, these actual monsters. She isn't battling, she's battling the demons inside herself, and she's battling the demons inside her head. And I've never seen a game deal with that so well. We've had games where protagonists have mental illness, and they have, things that they're grappling with inside themselves. But like Hellblade really puts that to the front. And
did you like the story throughout? Do you think it got stronger? Do you think it got weaker?
I think the story got stronger. I think at first you go through these different areas, and it deals with your certain senses. So there's one area where it all deals with. I forget the name of the character. He looks like a bird kind of character with kind of has like that plague mask kind of features, and the whole idea is like, what you see isn't necessarily what's there.
Yeah.
And you got to kind of maneuver yourself around this environment. Oh, wait a second. If I move this way, those branches connect.
Yeah,
I can make a
there are
ramp
different
to get to where I need
portals
to.
that you view through, so you have to get your perspective portals to match up to have it go. I found that pretty tedious, to be honest with you.
Really? Okay. I think, though, the payoff is so worth it, especially you get more into Senua's story, and you realize what a hard life she's had and all the hardships that she's faced. And it's just, I don't know, my heart breaks for that character, and I think that's, if anything, it's a great character study. I think even when you look at movies, you ever see The Wrestler?
I love that movie.
I think that's a great movie. I think that's a fantastic character study, and I think this is a fantastic character study of someone that's grappling with these personal demons. And I think. Yeah, the combat can be tedious. You can be in an area and then...
Listen, if you're saying that the story outweighs the bad, then it should
No, I think so, and I think, there's...
I just wasn't as in love with the story as you are, but if you're going to fight for it, you fight for it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to fight for it, because there are areas where I understand where, there's just these guys that are so tough to fight, but I think as a story as a whole, sometimes... when you have personal demons, those demons are so hard to fight, and it gets overwhelming. And I think that's the point, just to to sympathize in Senua's story, just to sort of having to overcome all her struggles, and at the end, I was in tears by the end. The whole finding peace within yourself, and I just think it's really, really powerful.
It's a very cool game.
I think it's a powerful story.
It didn't do it for me as much as it did for some other people, but I know you really care about it, so it's staying. The one thing I do want to say, it has that cool mechanic. It was much talked about and much argued, where if you die a certain amount of times, it deletes your save, and you have to restart.
I think that was just a gimmick, though. I don't think that ever was actually a...
I know that it is actually a thing.
Oh, really?
But there's a certain number of deaths for each area that you have to get.
Okay.
So it's like... in the opening area, if you die 37 times, then you're done. In some different area, you might have to only die 4 times there.
But that's the thing, too, because I think that adds to the heightened sense of, Doom.
Yes. I agree. I think that's a great idea. Some people hated that idea. I really like that idea.
I think it adds to that sort of, her world is, closing in on her. Mm-hmm. And I think it just adds to that. If I don't accomplish this, it's all over. It's all for naught. And I just think it did a really, 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 really powerful job of analyzing.
Hey, you know what? I may not think it belongs on our top 10, but you do, so it's going to stay.
I think it's a very special game.
I think the 4 games that are not being talked about here are too much to let me hang on to Tacoma.
All right.
So time for Tacoma to go. I've talked a lot about this game, and I absolutely love it. It's very underrated in my opinion. It didn't quite get the same hype as Gone Home, but I think it's because Gone Home was so surprising at the time. But Tacoma, I think you are a great game, and you're tied for number 11 with the other 16 games. They're off. So we have our top 10,
All
not
right.
in order. Let's read them out. We have Super Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Nier Automata, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, Persona 5, Pyre, Cuphead, Night in the Woods, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. That is our top 10.
Okay.
Now it's time to get them in order, Dan.
Well, there's certain games that we've... Oh, actually, wait a minute.
We're going to, listen, honestly, we're going to have to be swapping around a lot of these.
Okay.
So we're just going to basically start out by saying, I personally think that Pyre should be pretty high on this list.
I love Pyre, yes.
I think Pyre is an excellent game. And always what happens with these kind of discussions, I'm going to say it right out front, the games that we like the most are the ones that get talked about the least because we know that they're going to end up.
It's obvious.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Pyre real quick. It's a game by Supergiant. Supergiant is the team that did Bastion and Transistor, games that we absolutely love. Pyre is, I think, my favorite Supergiant game. Bastion's way up there for me. Pyre is fucking awesome. If Pyre is, let me give you the short pitch on Pyre. It's like two different games meshed in one. The one game is the actual minute-to-minute gameplay, which is, it's basically like an arcade sports game almost. It's a 3-on-3. There's an orb in the middle, and all the different characters that you can choose from have different abilities, different speeds, different amount of points that they score, and you can either throw the orb into the opponent's fire.
It's like playing basketball, kind of.
It is. It's like an NBA Jam almost kind of thing, where it's like you can throw the orb into the opponent's fire to get points, or you can just run in and jump in to dunk it. If you jump in the fire, that teammate of yours is out of the game until the other team scores. So you want to try to throw it in, but if you throw it, the other team can jump up, block it, do certain things. All the different characters have different abilities that make the variety really fun. I really enjoy the gameplay a lot, but the reason that this game is as good as it is because of the story. You're basically... you get tossed into, what do they call it, the downside?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get tossed into this, it's almost like, you're thinking that it's like a...
The Oregon Trail kind of thing. It's just
yeah, well, but I'm saying the actual area, almost like a... What am I thinking of? It's not hell, it's not heaven.
Oh, like purgatory kind of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like a purgatory that you get tossed into, where there are all these weird creatures and different people and stuff.
Just want to get out.
And the way that they get out is by completing these rites that they call them, which is the sports game that I talked about, right? So you're going around Oregon Trail style, you're in this little cart, and you get to choose which path you want to take.
People
and
want to pick up.
Yeah, some have different benefits to others. You're gathering party members as you go. You choose who competes in your game. And basically, when you get to the end, you reach the mount. What do they call it? It's like the end part. You have to play a match versus the other best team. And if you win, you send one of your teammates back to the real world. So you send them out of the downside. So you're selecting who you want to send back, but also you're losing that player from your team. So it's like, if you really like playing with this person, it's like, you might be my favorite character, but I'm going to keep you because I really like playing with you. Sorry, you're not going back. It's really interesting. The characters are all really good and well developed.
And they'll have their own personalities and their own...
The reason that this game is as good as it is because Supergiant does a better job than anybody in the industry, in my opinion, at building a universe, like a world. Like, how do you just create this incredible fantasy world with all unique races and different types of people? It's like, it's incredible. They're good.
It really is.
I don't know how you feel about Pyre, but...
Well, you did. I think you hit everything right on the head. My favorite part was I loved the Oregon Trail style. I loved the whole pick-up character. It's even... you'll pick up a character and the character will be like, "Oh, can you use me today? Like in the right? Like can you?" And then if you don't, they're like ticked off at you. And it's really really cool. And the choices you make are all have an impact on how the game plays out. But I loved it, and I loved the gameplay aspect of it. But really, for me, I think you said it too. I think the story really is what keeps you going, because you meet all these really, really interesting characters, and it's up to you how you want to deal with them, and it's up to you how who goes back and who doesn't, who stays back, and it's just the implications of that.
Yeah, it's very cool, and it's like I said, the writing, the characters, they're all really, really good, and it does a great job of like making you wonder. There's a guy that you don't get until very late in the game called Wolfred, and he basically seems shady all the time. So you don't know if he's like telling you the truth about the rights, because they're coming to a close. So you know that you only have a couple more, final matches to send people back, or they're never going to be able to go back. So Wolfred's basically saying the people that we're sending back are starting a revolution to stop this whole sending people to the downside thing. And it's really effective at the end, because your choices, what I didn't mention that's really cool is when you win the match, you get to choose one of your teammates to go up to the real world, or you can choose one of the enemy. Like, you can let them win.
Yeah.
So if there's someone on the enemy team that you're like, man, I really feel for this guy.
Yeah.
He's been down here for so long. It's like, I could let him win.
Yeah.
And they can send him up.
They can go, yeah.
So
and it's all those
it's really cool. I think Pyre is an
obligations,
amazing game, and I think it should be up here. So what we're going to do now, or what I'm saying, I want to put this at number 1 now, and then as we get down to it, we can start moving this around a little bit.
Okay.
So let's talk about Night in the Woods.
All right.
Do we think that Night in the Woods is going to be at the back half of this? Do we think it's going to be at the front half of this?
I love Night in the Woods. Now, so everything I have to say about Night in the Woods, I just beat this game. I just played this game. Yeah. I just, a week ago, And
I haven't played it since February when it came out.
Okay. So everything for me is extremely fresh. And
so
the
let's
emotions
hear your takes
from it
on it. You're very,
really, really fresh.
Yeah, it's a very
I'm very, very, very happy about this game. Again, it's another game that I missed. I remember you telling me about it when it came out. Oh, yeah, I'll get to it. And I finally just got to it. It's no action, no combat, just story.
It's like very light platforming.
Yeah. It's all animal creatures. And you're this cat named May. And you come back from college. It's animal creatures, but it's all very serious human.
Yeah, they're supposed to be taken as like humans.
You're this cat named May, and you come back from college, and nobody knows why. Nobody understands. Like, you go to college, and you come back, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're back! Like, what are you doing here?" Your parents are like, "Hey, is everything okay? Like, what's going on?"
Well, your parents are kind of like, it seems like they're kind of dancing around the issue a little bit. Like, they'll constantly be like, "Hey, are you all right? You doing okay?" Like, sort of thing. So you're like wondering what the hell happened, and your friends are all like, "Whoa, you're back! What's up?" And May is just kind of like, "Yeah, I didn't really like college."
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You meet up with all your childhood friends, and again, very much like Hellblade, it deals with mental illness, and it deals with sadness and depression, and
well, what happens in Night in the Woods as you go along, you're going through the story, and you're talking with your friends, and it starts to come out that, like, all right, it's obvious that something happened to May in college. You don't know really what it is, but she talks about like seeing a therapist and like stuff like that. And so you're like, well, I wonder what's going on with her. You end up, like, the big reveal. You find out that she, like, basically she has like a dissociative disorder where she like doesn't. She can get into this mode where she doesn't like see people as people so much. You know what I mean?
Into like polygon shapes and
so she has like a very complex like dissociative disorder, and she ended up like bludgeoning somebody pretty much while she was at college, and they kicked her out. That comes out in like a heated moment where like.
Well, and that's the thing too, and then you find out about her friends too, and about
all the struggles that they've been going through. Yeah, like Bee's, was it her mom?
Her mom passed away.
Yeah, Bee's mom died.
And all she wanted to do was go to college, and
instead she had to like kind of be
running the family store, taking care of her dad, and she's depressed. She can't get out of this town.
So it takes place in like a Rust Belt, like old, like rundown town.
It's like a miner's town.
Yeah, well, there was a factory there that had shut down, and it basically ruined the whole town. So everybody's like unemployed or struggling, and it's a really good like human story that like it's funny, it's human.
And then there's some like weird stuff too where there's like
we'll talk about that. There's like
this group of like fascist.
You're
adults.
kind of you're seeing that some weird stuff is going on throughout the game, and you're kind of being like, okay, like why is there a severed hand here? All right, why is there this? Like you're kind of figuring out that something
kids are
weird
going
is going
missing.
on. Kids are going missing. Your friend from back in like high school or something is missing.
Yeah.
And so May is like, what's going on here? Like let's try to figure it out. Finding out that they're like a cult.
Yeah.
That are like sacrificing children underneath in these mines.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because
it's really weird.
But it's trying to tell the story of like, hey, these people are doing anything to try to keep their lives afloat. So it's like these are kind of normal people in their day-to-day lives that are in this cult, taking children and throwing them into the depths of this mine because they like hear voices that tell them that in order for this town to stay afloat.
They're trying to hold this town. Possum Springs, I think it's called. They're trying to keep the town together.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
they think the only way to do that is, this kid's a menace to society, so we're just gonna kill him.
Yeah, they try to get rid of like homeless people and menaces and stuff like that.
It's messed up.
All the while, May is having these crazy dreams that you're going into, and they start to get more and more unhinged.
They were like, she meets God, and it's really, and the writing is so fantastic.
It is the best dialogue I've ever seen in a game.
So good.
And I'm like, hands down, it is like the way the characters are written are more believable than I've ever seen in a game.
Yeah,
Usually
it's like they're an alligator and a dog and a cat.
That's what's so funny about it. It's like these are all animals, but it's like they are written as real people better. Like the back and forth between is so realistic.
Yeah.
It's like very believable where you're like, it's the way like she interacts with her parents, the way she interacts with her friends. Greg is like one of my favorite characters ever.
Yeah.
He's so good. But like all of your friends, you realize like everyone has their issues, so you're kind of learning everyone's issues. Greg is like freaked out by his own world. Like he kind of always wants to be a kid, and he knows he's getting older, and he needs to figure his life out. And his boyfriend Angus is like trying to be all adult about everything. What was the realization? There was something that you.
The whole thing is that Greg loves Angus so much, and like Greg doesn't feel like he's worthy of Angus.
So he just
Angus
does crazy stuff.
Right. Angus is so perfect. Angus is a nice guy, and he does all these things, and he's just like, wow, my boyfriend's amazing. Why is he with me? One day he's going to realize that he could do so much better than me, and he's grappling with that, and that's why he does all these crazy things.
And Angus is like, I just want you to like.
I just want you to be happy, man.
I don't know what's going on.
It's so human too, and there's so many touching moments. And
that whole game deals with so many different like real issues. Like it's really amazing. I think we should also say it's also punctuated by little mini games that are really funny and fun. And this game definitely has that dichotomy of like hilarious 1 minute, and like, but in a realistic way. Like you'll have Greg be like, something really serious will happen, or like someone dies, and then Greg will like make a joke, and everyone will laugh, and someone will be like, that wasn't really a good time for that.
Exactly.
But it's so real. You know what I mean? Like it's not the melodrama that like a lot of these teenage things become.
No, it's like how it goes when you hang with your friends.
Yeah,
exactly. Like
I mean?
May will, at the end of the game, and they find these.
They end up
of these fascist just very very bad people killing these kids over time. I don't know if I should really spoil it, but they take.
Well, you've definitely spoiled it quite a bit.
That's true. The cult ends up getting wiped out through turn of events.
Yeah.
And like it's just like the way it's like, wow, that was crazy. And then like Greg would say something like, all right, let's go get pizza, or like just
but it's like, wow, that was weird. And it's like, yeah, we just killed like 30 people.
Yeah.
And then Greg's like, yeah, let's go. You want to do band practice?
It's like that.
Like it's just very realistic and cool. And I do like the little mini games. They're pretty fun.
You can play like a Guitar Hero one kind of, where like you're in the band, and
but it's really funny, and like it gives you good like characterization for these
people. Like you're May's a bass player, and like you get this, we just wrote this new song, right? So let's play, and they play it, and like it gets really tough at one point, and then when it's over, Greg's like, that really sucked. And May's just like, yeah, I didn't even know that song. Like,
yeah. You know, like, I never played that before
in my life. You know?
Yeah, a lot of good. That game, for me, I think this is like a top 5 game for me.
I love Night in the Woods.
I think
really
this
did.
one's way up there.
Was,
let's move it up. We're gonna put it like just in the mix with these top guys right now.
It is. It's beautiful, you know.
And we'll figure it out from there.
We all have issues, and as long as you're there for your friends and you care about each other, it's just.
Here's your Hallmark moment for Dan. Take a drink.
Oh man.
All right. So the issue that we're running into is a lot of these games are incredible, and they all made the top 10, so we're happy, but we need to figure out which ones are our favorites and which ones we're going to put above the rest.
Okay.
Me personally, I think Hellblade is good at the back end of it because I personally don't even.
And I'm okay.
I know we discussed about it.
I'm so happy that Hellblade's even top 10. I really think that's a special game, and for anybody that's
I think
interested,
it's
the way it deals with mental illness. You know, I love Sonoa, and my heart breaks for her. And
I think you
really care about her.
It's a good number 10 for what we're doing right now.
I think it's a great character.
I think it should be there.
I think it's a special game. So I'd fight for that. So I'm glad that it's top 10 because I do think it's 100% worthy of that.
All right, let's talk about Persona 5.
Oh man,
Persona 5 is your first Persona game, right?
First Persona. I didn't play. I know you love Persona 4. That was not one
I adore Persona 4.
I think this game should be top 5. Persona 5, just everything about it. Again, we talked about, you know, I think last week or the week before about games being complex and having a range of emotions. There's so much in Persona 5. Mm-hmm.
Let me give, before we dive into that sort of stuff, I want to give a brief description. We haven't talked about Persona 5 yet. It's a turn-based JRPG where you play as a kid in high school. All the Persona games are high school kid, something happens in the world, you end up fighting stuff with your friends. That's the idea. It's a JRPG, it's turn-based, so you have a guy that has electricity ability, you have a guy that has fire ability, a girl, you know, such and such. So you have all these different elements that are strong and weak against other elements. It's kind of the Pokemon system. But the reason that we love this game is not because of the combat, it's because of the story behind it. I know there's a theme here. We like stories in games. So, but Persona, that's kind of the cliff notes of what kind of game it is. But then
it's also like a life simulator. We're like, oh, I got a test today. I'm sorry, I can't fight bad guys because I got to study.
It's a juggling act.
Yeah.
It's a juggling act between what you want to do after school.
Right.
So after school,
out?
It's like, hey, your good friend wants to hang out, and it's like you can spend time with them and build your relationship with them, which has benefits, or you can work your side job to get money, which has benefits, or you can go into this other world and fight.
Which also has benefit. It's all juggling that.
That's the baseline of Persona. That's what Persona 4 was. That's what Persona 5 is. But explain to me why you like Persona 5 so much.
I just think as a game... Now, here's the thing. Out of all the games on here, I did not beat Persona 5 because Persona 5 is a freaking long game. I
haven't beaten it either. I put in about 45 hours.
Yeah, it's like probably like the whole game itself is probably like 100 hours, like 100, 20.
It's wild.
There's just so much in it. I freaking love it though. Why I loved it, and I think we've talked about this before. Why, I know you like Persona 4 more. This is the first time I ever played a game like this, where it was like a simulator and an RPG, and I love JRPGs. I love JRPGs so much. I eat them up with a spoon. And adding the whole life simulator on top of that, it just felt very human, very real. Where, oh crap, I got a test tomorrow. I should really study. Yeah, but we got to change this person's heart because they're doing these bad things, and it's like, crap, that's really important. And and just sort of that.
Yeah.
I like decision-based games. I like where my decisions will have effects, and I like Persona 5 for the moments where I'm sitting there for 10 minutes. I'm like, well, what do I do? Weighing the pros and cons, and I think that's why it's so special.
Are there any specific moments story-wise that you want to talk about? Because again, we spoil everything, and this is your time to get it out.
Yeah, I just love the characters, and I think all the characters are extremely relatable. I love Ryuji. Ryuji's one of my all-time favorite video game characters. He's your main character's pretty much best friend.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of Greg in Night of the Woods. He's kind of iconoclastic. frig authority. I'm going to do whatever I want. And I just think he's a really relatable guy. And as you get into his story and why he's the way he is, and his own insecurities, and I like that. I like when you play games or movies and you really relate, where you see something and you just go, well, you know what? I totally relate to that. It's the same thing with Night in the Woods or Hellblade, where it's just like, oh wow, like I empathize. I know where that's coming from.
So here's my thing with Persona 5. I think it's a great game. It deserves to be on this top 10 list. I think as we start to get a little more mature in video games themselves, I think we're seeing examples of more complex stories as far as the characters. I think Persona 5 skates a line where it has a little bit of like some of the themes it goes with are a little some of the difference between the female sex and the male sex and stuff like that. A little cringy, where you're like, oh, I don't know if that's okay to do. It's because it is Japanese and they sometimes hold on to some weird things. I think comparing Night in the Woods to something like that, I think Night in the Woods is obviously it's different. This is super anime,
right.
Yeah.
That's how my sister loves this game. Hi, Noelle again. I said, hey, Noelle, you like RPGs? Yeah. Hey, you like anime? Yeah. You're gonna love this game, and that's
it's a fantastic game. Like I said, Persona 4 is one of my favorite games ever. I think looking back on it, what I wanted Persona 5 to do was to take what we loved about Persona 4 and make it a little more adult. And there, when you say adult, there are themes in here that only adults should deal with because it's like a mature thing. Certain teachers having sex with students, sort of thing. There's definitely bad stuff in it. But I'm saying mature, adult, as in the complexity of these characters.
Yeah.
And I just don't think Persona 5 has that.
That's
personally. I think there's a lot of good in it, and I love the game. I don't think it hangs up here with these guys.
Looking at the other games and the other games that I played, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I'm actually, if we're gonna make a concrete list, I'm kind of fine these being there.
And now I'm gonna also say something that should join that list is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Really? Okay.
Horizon is a great game, and it has a really again, I keep forgetting to do it right off the bat, but quick run through of what the game is. It's a third-person action game. You're this woman Aloy who basically she has a bow and arrow and she has a spear, and you're fighting these giant robots that are shaped like dinosaurs or animals or stuff like that. And we'll talk story stuff. Obviously, I just want to give you a brief overview. It's a third person behind the back camera. You're fighting these robots. You can do stealth. You can do you can go guns blazing with your bow.
Or you can take over machines.
Yeah, you can override machines to make them fight on your side. A lot of cool gameplay stuff. But to talk about the good stuff about it is I really like the world. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really good sci-fi setup. It's a good story.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Basically what happens is Earth, if I'm getting this right, again, I haven't played this since February, so I might need your help with a little bit of it.
I played this when this came out, and that was quite some time ago.
So what I'm remembering is it's basically Earth has machines doing labor for it, right?
Right.
So these, classic sci-fi, the corporations have these machines that are mining, doing labor, doing whatever, and someone puts a code in there. It's actually Aloy. It turns out to be Aloy's relative, right? She puts some sort of line of code that makes them a little too sentient or something, and they end up trying to take over the world. That's the whole idea. Because not only are they doing labor and stuff, they start building them as armies, pretty much. So they make weaponized versions of these robots. Originally, the robots were like, hey, here's something that looks like a deer, and it drills into the ground with its nose or something. You know what I mean? You can see the design of all these robots that are basically trying to do things that are beneficial to society. And then what happens as always is corporate greed,
Right.
Different, you monetize the military and, bad things happen. So basically the world gets taken over by the machines and certain people go underground and they're saved by being underground, right? That's the whole concept of the game.
And then they have to start again.
Yes. So the whole idea is Aloy's trying to get the world back to, because what's happening on the outside world above is, hey, everything's being overgrown, it's being run by nature, but nature's not nature, it's robots.
Right.
So
it's an interesting premise.
It's really interesting, and it does some really cool stuff with those tropes where, you have this whole AI core that the whole idea was shut it down and then regrow and restart, but there are issues there that Aloy's trying to solve. I think the game is really good.
I think this would have been maybe any other year. This would have been my number one any other year.
It is very good. It would not have been my number one. I'm not as high on this game as you are, I think, because I really was not a big... The combat was good. As the game went on, I kind of got tired of it. Some of those fights are very protracted and long.
Yeah, I did feel it, though. It was very smooth, though, and I did enjoy it.
It was well made.
It kind of had, for me, that sort of Batman Arkham kind of vibe, where I like that, where I didn't care how many enemies were there. I was just like, oh, this is sick. I'm 100 feet away.
For me, it just didn't click. It really didn't click. I think this one hangs at the bottom as well.
I do think it's top 10, and...
Well, I'm glad we have a top 10. It's a great game, but... I
would say, though, I think it's a very, very special game, and I think,
it's super well made. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and I think the premise of it is I just think it's a very, very cool premise. I think it's a really cool thing.
I love it. I think it's a great sci-fi story. I think it falters in its characterization a lot. I don't think it develops a lot of its main characters very well. I think Aloy is a very good character.
I think she's amazing, yeah.
I think some of the side characters are kind of blah.
Yeah. I do think that...
Even the side quests and stuff, not great.
No,
I don't
main
think they're
story
great.
All the way.
I would say I'm glad it's top 10. I would put it below Persona 5, personally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think
Persona 5
Persona 5 is a good
what's
number
interesting?
8.
This came out, February? This came out April?
Yeah.
When these two games came out, I was like, these are going to be top 5 games of the year.
No, when you look at our top 10, Breath of the Wild, March.
Oh my god, I know.
Nier, March.
Yeah, crazy.
Persona 5, April. Horizon, February.
Yeah.
Night in the Woods, February.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is insane.
The early part of this year was absolutely nuts.
Yeah. A lot of money.
So we're trying to lock in some stuff.
Okay, so I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that.
Let's just we're obviously gonna change this, but I just want to make a quick list of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
1 to 10, okay? So we have Pyre number 1 right now, Super Mario Odyssey 2, Night in the Woods 3, Cuphead 4, Breath of the Wild 5, Nier Automata 6, Wolfenstein 2 7, Persona 5 8, Horizon Zero Dawn 9, Hellblade 10.
Cool.
So what do we think should...
I'm fine that being 8, 9, 10.
Okay. I'm good with that for now. We'll see if anything changes, but I'm good with that.
The way that it is now,
I would say the next one in that list, I would say, is Cuphead.
Now, Cuphead is a game I also share an affinity for. I know you were mad stoked about this game.
It's incredible. Mad stoked, huh?
I'm just coming out with them today.
I love it. All right. I will say Cuphead is an incredible game. It is as far as gameplay, it is a near perfect game. And it has one of the coolest art styles I've ever seen in my life. One of the most unique things ever. Yeah. If you have no idea what this game is, go check it out.
Just look up Google Images Cuphead.
It's
like a 30s cartoon.
It's a 2D side-scrolling platformer, but it's mostly boss fights. Mm-hmm. So you're basically on this little overworld. You're going into these worlds, and you're fighting a boss. And basically, you get to choose your different loadouts of different weapons. It's like a straight shot. You can do a charge shot, a lobber, you get to buy all these different things. But the main thrust of this game is, hey, I'm Cuphead, I'm going to defeat these bosses. So you're shooting they don't have a visible health bar, but you're shooting them until they go into a different phase.
Right.
It's very old school, NES style.
Yeah, it's like Mega Man meets Contra.
Yeah, it reminds me of Contra a lot, actually.
Well, especially the running gun where you're running up the hills, and that's very Contra.
But the gameplay of this game, the jumping, the shooting, the dodging, it is so much fun to play. Yeah. And it is so good. One thing I will say, and it's going to spoil it for you, Dan, I'm sorry, and everyone out there, but it's a game of the year. We spoil everything here. My favorite part of this game. So first of all, the music is great.
It's like a 30s cartoon. It's
incredible.
Max Fleischer, who's the guy that did all the Popeye and the Betty Boops.
Is it Fleischer? Yeah, I think it's Fleischman. Right? Fleischer. All right. Anyway, it's really cool.
We're not cartoon historians.
The art style with the music, it has such a good tone and theme.
Like you're in Disney World.
Love
cool,
the way this looks. But there are a few tracks in there that have vocal tracks too. And when you first get to King Dice, his name is, he basically controls the portal from one island to the other. And you go in there, and this song breaks out, and it is so good. It's like snapping like 30 stuff, no, it's this guy that's like, "Oh, Mr. King Dice." It's so good. I absolutely love it. But my favorite moment of the game is there's a boss rush right before the final fight against the devil.
Oh, like a Mega Man thing, yeah.
But the boss rush is you're in a casino with King Dice, and there's all these different things that, like, it's basically like you hit a die. It's either a 1, 2, or 3. And there's basically like 12 different things you have to do to get to the end. But it's like there's a fight, a free space, a fight plus a heart, a fight, a free space, a fight, a free space. And you can try to hit the die at the right time, but you're ending up fighting these guys and your health carries over. So you're fighting all these different bosses that are unique to this one mode. They're not throughout the game.
Oh, no way. Wow.
This one boss rush. Some people say that it was the most frustrating part because it was so hard, but I enjoyed every second.
All the way through?
Yeah, I beat it.
Oh, okay.
I enjoyed every second of it. This game is super hard, if anybody out there is not sure. It is incredibly hard.
It's tough.
But the boss rush, all the bosses are unique to this mode. So I was like purposefully dying and going and trying to get a 2 to get this boss to see what it was. It was so cool. So when you get through the boss rush, you're like, all right, I did it. I'm at finish. And then all of a sudden, King Dice is like, and he goes like this, and you fight King Dice on this craps table that you've been hitting the die on to get these different things to move.
Cool.
All of a sudden, he's fighting you there, and it's incredible.
That's awesome.
I loved it. Definitely took a while to get through, but I really enjoyed every second of it. Cuphead, definitely incredible game. I'm glad it's top 10. I think it's a nice number 7.
I think Cuphead, when I think of Cuphead, the reasons I like Cuphead is also the same reasons like Horizon Zero Dawn. I just like the novelty of it, and I like the uniqueness of it.
Yeah.
I think, what it did is just something completely new. Mm-hmm. I think Horizon Zero Dawn, same sort of, like, that whole premise is just like, wow, that's an interesting idea. So I think those two, I'd see them by each other.
Okay.
Because I like them for the same reasons.
Do you think Persona should be 7 instead of 8 over Cuphead, or do you think it's a good 8 and Cuphead should be 7?
Honestly, I'm fine with them either way. I did like Persona more, but I played more of Persona.
Yeah.
But then again, I like...
Let's put Cuphead at 7 now, and then we'll if we want to rearrange, we can rearrange.
Honestly, the way that it is now, I could interchange any of them, and it wouldn't bother me. I do feel like I'm okay with... I don't think Cuphead's top 5.
I think it's on the cusp, though. Yeah, I think it's nice.
I think compared to these games,
yeah, these are all. I mean, our top 5 is going to be ridiculous.
It's insane.
So
okay, so right now we're talking between Pyre, Mario Odyssey, Night in the Woods, Breath of the Wild, Nier Automata, and Wolfenstein.
Yeah, let's dig into Wolfenstein because I want to talk about some of the amazing moments in this game, and we finally get to do spoiler discussion of Wolfenstein. So. Brief synopsis before we get into it. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. It's the sequel to The New Order. First-person shooter. You're BJ Blazkowicz. You're fighting Nazis. That's the basic premise. What's awesome about it is it has some moments, man. This game has some crazy-ass moments. So it starts out. I want to talk about the opening. Starts out, you're BJ as a kid, and... you're basically, you get to see your mom and dad, and you live in this shitty little house in Mesquite, Texas, and your mom walks in, and she's, like, talking to you about something, and your dad busts in, and she's like, go hide in the closet, before he busts in. So you're hiding in the closet while your dad basically is being a complete piece of shit to your mom, hitting her, talking to her like she's an asshole, like basically making racist remarks, like anti-Semitic remarks, sexist remarks, like being a piece of shit. Your dad,
definitely.
So it goes through this whole scene of everything going on, and then it jumps ahead, and you're back to being BJ.
Well, I mean, and then you just like, the dad is a piece of crap.
Yeah,
like
real terrible dude.
Making you shoot your own dog, like this guy.
Well, that's a little later, wasn't it? Oh, was it?
I think that's right in the beginning. I mean,
yeah. So that he puts you, he wants you to show you a lesson, I guess. So he gives you a gun, and he makes you're aiming at the dog, and I obviously pulled away, and you shoot in the air, and he like hits you. He's like, "You fucking idiot! I'll have to do it myself."
Yeah.
And he grabs the gun and shoots your dog.
Yeah,
it's terrible. And then it jumps in. So it's kind of giving you a look into like what made BJ
why he's the way he is. His dad was such a
he's
such
like
an evil, racist, anti-Semitic, sexist, terrible human being.
So BJ is for those of you that didn't play the New Order, he's basically like totally detached from emotion. Really, he's killing all these Nazis. Like he's a killing machine, and so you kind of get to look into like why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
So you're playing through the game. You get this cool cast of characters. What I want to do here is talk about the best moments.
Yeah.
So we're gonna skip. We're not doing a run through the whole story, but I want to talk about. There's a section of game. It's probably about 2 hours, and it runs from when you're in Roswell on the Main Street, USA, to the whole thing with the. From there to there,
oh my goodness,
it's like one of the best stretches of game ever.
It's that good.
You basically start. So the beginning of this section that we're talking about, you're BJ. You're dressed up as a firefighter. You go to Roswell, New Mexico, because there's some base that you want to blow up. So in your like fake fire extinguisher,
big bomb.
You have a nuke in this fire extinguisher. So you're walking through. It really is like Main Street, USA, where it's like you're walking through and you're like.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying because it's brightly lit. All this like
stickers all over the place.
1960. Yeah. It's really like 1950s.
It looks like American Graffiti, but like the diners.
But it's 1961, I think, technically. Yeah. But it's like frozen in time from the late 40s, early 50s. Yeah. And it's like diner sign, like you said, all these like little shops, and there's Nazis walking around, and there's KKK members,
people in the hoods and everything. It's
because
it's
guess
scary.
what? I mean, who's going to be happy that the Nazis take over is the Ku Klux Klan and pieces of shit like that. Yeah. So these guys, you're walking around, you're like, holy shit, look at all this. You're hearing like little conversations that are like disturbing. It's crazy. So basically from there, you blow up the place in Roswell. And this character, Super Spesh is his name. He's like this really cool character that's like a fucking Marxist, like... basically, it does a lot of cool stuff with politics. That's really fun, and he's like a crazy conspiracy theorist Marxist who is like married to this Black Panther, pretty much, and so he's kind of you get a sense into what he's all about during the Roswell section, and then what happens is after Roswell, you go back to Mesquite, to your hometown, your house, and when you go to your house, it starts out with this moment of. BJ as a kid now, he's maybe like 8, 10, something like that, and he's with this little black girl, and they're hanging out, having fun, whatever. She's talking to him about, why people are mean to her at school, like stuff like that, and it goes through a couple quick flashes of BJ and this girl, Billy, basically going back and forth, different things. There's this one really powerful scene where he has this rat. It was a rat.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And he throws it into a bucket of water. And the little girl, Billy, is like, no, stop. Like, what are you doing? You're killing him. You're killing him. And BJ's like, I don't care. Like, he has a shitty dad, like, who like, encourages this kind of stuff. So he's like, what do you mean? I don't get it. She's like, stop. You're killing him. And he's, like, holding her back a little bit. And finally, he, like, kicks it over. And she runs over. She's like, is it dead? Is it dead? And it, like, breathes and runs off. And it's really powerful because it's kind of giving us, like, she's helping BJ become like a human being rather than being a monster like his dad, and it's a really cool sequence where you're like, man, like this is really.
It's powerful. It really is.
That's what this game is so good at, and we're gonna finish up this section, and then we'll talk a little bit more broadly about it. But right from there, you find your dad in the house. And it goes through, so it takes you from this moment with this girl, Billy, then you're exploring the house, you're finding little snippets, notes from your dad to other people. You can tell he's obviously a fan of the Nazis, and he like wants to be on their side, and of course he does, like that's the easiest thing ever. and you're starting to realize, like, I think something bad might happen to your mom. So it has this moment where it cuts to Billy as a kid again, PJ as a kid, and he is saying, there's a monster in the basement. And the mom is like, no, there's no monster in the basement, there's not. And then the dad walks in, and you're like, oh shit, this guy again, this guy's a piece of shit. And he's like, what's going on? And BJ's like, nothing, like he's scared to tell him. And he tells him, like, I'm scared, I think there's a monster in the basement. And his dad's like, there's no monster in the basement, you know that, blah, blah, he's trying to tell him. And he's like, I don't know, I'm scared. So he's like, all right, he gives him a rifle. I don't know, is it a BB gun or a rifle?
Oh, I don't remember.
It's either like a very simple rifle or a BB gun. And he's like, all right, we're going to go downstairs, we're going to kill that monster, all right? And he's like, okay. And it's a really, it's the one time you see his dad, okay, he's actually, being a father. It's weird. So they run downstairs, there's no monster, of course, and they're, kind of laughing, and they're like, oh, it's a nice little family moment. And then you see BJ laying in bed with, the gun, at his side, and you're like, oh, his dad really is a monster. Even when he's being good, he's being a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Teaching his son about, how he should always have this gun with him and stuff. It's So immediately it cuts to his dad, present day, being in the house, basically with a gun pointed at him. And he's like, why would you come back here, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you're a piece of shit, you're all over the news, you're the terror Billy that everyone's talking about, that the Nazis are afraid of. And so your dad basically goes after you, and you, boom, hit him with your axe. He's down, bleeding out, and you realize the phone's off the hook. He called, Frau Engel, who's the main enemy in this game, the main monster of a Nazi, and she comes in. There's this whole cool moment where they pick up the house.
Right, and you're running as the house is...
Yeah, you're running down, the side of the wall because it's now the house is sideways. It's a really, really cool moment. And then what ends up happening is Frau Engel captures you.
This is, oh my goodness. Yeah,
and what she does, what I want to do real quick to introduce you to Frau Engel is in the beginning of the game, what we didn't touch on, is one of your main teammates in the first game, Caroline, in the very beginning of the game, you, Caroline, and Wyatt or Fergus, whoever you chose, the three of you were captured by Frau Engel. And Frau Engel literally chops off Caroline's head right in front of you. And this is one of your main companions in the first game. She's a huge character. And she takes her head and is like, oh, you want to say hi? Yeah. And goes to her daughter who she's shaming because she has lesbian thoughts, I guess. And she's like, oh, I know what you want. I read your diary. And she puts the head in her crotch. And it's man,
she's just evil.
She's terrible. But it's such a good introduction to this character.
Talk about bad parents in this game.
Yeah, bad parents all around. But then, so now to jump back to what I was saying, BJ's captured, and Frau Engel basically has him captured, and she's saying, I'm going to parade you around, I'm going to, on live TV, everyone's going to see, whatever. So you're sitting there, you're in shackles.
In this court, in this,
Well, even before that.
Before that, okay.
You're in this, interrogation room, pretty much. You're chained up, and Super Special walks in.
Right.
And he's like, hey. He says some stuff out loud so that they hear him. And he's like, we're going to get you out of here. We have, your wife, Anya, who is your wife, who's pregnant. We have her in the basement with a car ready to go. We're all here. We're going to rescue you. And you're like, all right, good. I'm going to get rescued. And Super Special is all excited. And he's like, all right, I'm done here. Come on in. And the Nazi guy walks in. And Super Special, breaks his nose, to try to be oh, you attacked me. And the Nazi walks in. And when Super Special's getting ready to attack him, he gets shot in the head, killed.
He's dead.
And they're all laughing. Frau Engel's cracking up. She's oh, she's what an idiot. She thinks I would let a lawyer. He thinks I would let a lawyer in to see you. You're terror Billy. We don't give a shit. We're not giving you a lawyer. And then you're oh shit. I'm screwed. What am I gonna do? So one of your best friends dies right there. Then you get out into the courtyard, and it's a really cool scene. You're in Washington. You see, what is it, the Washington Monuments in the background or something?
Yeah, but it's Hitler. No, it's Lincoln Monument, but it's...
Oh, it's the Lincoln Monument, but it's Hitler.
Sitting
and you're there on display in this... It's so weird to see all these, all this Nazi memorabilia, all these people cheering for you to die in the crowd. So you're thinking, all right, I'm going to break out of this, I'm sure. And basically... She swings, chops your head off. You're what the?
Well, did you skip the part where you're in the courtroom?
Oh, the courtroom you're talking about. Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot the courtroom part. So you're in the courtroom before this. This is, before anything happens. You're in the courtroom and they're trying you and they're like, all right, we sentence you to death.
And you're like, I can do anything I want.
Yeah, so BJ, of course, breaks out of the chains, runs out, starts killing everybody. And it's like, yeah, this is awesome. You go into this room, your mom's there.
And he sees his mom and he's like, I don't want to do this, I'm tired.
And she's like, it's okay, it'll be over soon, like sort of thing. And then snap, you're in the courtroom and none of that ever happened.
Yeah.
So it's such a good sequence of like, hey, I'm going to get out of this.
I'm an action hero. No one can stop me.
No, you're not.
But it was all a daydream.
And then it happens again with the super special thing. All right, we're going to get out of this. No, you're not. Then you get the head chopped off. Frau Engel chops off your head on live TV. And you're like...
It's over.
It's over. I can't get out of this. I was wondering, like, in my head, I'm like, are we now going to be Anya or something? Like, what's going to happen? And sure enough, your whole like team of scientists like grabs your head, like captures it, reattaches it. Yeah. It's a whole thing. But I just wanted to give you that context of that sequence of events. They're so powerful, and they totally underline what makes this story great.
Yeah.
Because the minute-to-minute gameplay in Wolfenstein, not much fun. It's a well-made game, and the shooting is good, but the difficulty spikes are too much. And so I encourage
the combat's just too
anybody that wants to play Wolfenstein 2. Put it on the easiest difficulty and just have fun, because the story is why you're there. The shooting is fun on the easiest difficulty, but if you try it on any harder,
there's even times on the easiest difficulty, because that's why I started on
where it's just
medium,
you're dying,
and then,
it's too hard.
Like I moved the difficulty down because you can do that. You can pause and you can change. I went to the easiest, and there's moments where I'm still like, why am I dying? Like how am I still?
It's rough. It's really rough
sometimes.
But it's an incredible game. One more moment I want to touch on is the Hitler moment.
Oh my goodness! You get to kick Hitler in the face.
You literally, so BJ dresses up as like this famous actor to try to, this whole scheme about trying to get on, what is it, Venus?
Yeah, some planet.
I think it's Venus. You're trying to get on this base where they're shooting a movie because that's where like their head of everything is. So you go to Venus. And you're sitting down. This is one of my favorite moments of the year. You sit down and you have to like try to memorize your lines. So you're reading the lines, and BJ's like writing them on his hand, right? So like, all right, the director's here. We're gonna do lines, and so basically, it's BJ's turn. The director walks in. It's Hitler.
It's Adolf Hitler, and
he's like old, decrepit, like coughing, throwing up, like a piece of shit, like terrible.
Yeah,
and. So they kind of rotate between making him look like an idiot, because, who wouldn't love to make Hitler look like a piece of shit, to also making him be kind of scary and just killing people for no reason.
Shoot. Oh, your acting is terrible.
Yeah. So it's time for you to read your lines, and BJ looks at his hands, and they're all like sweated off, and you can't see him. He's like, oh, shit. So you have to choose your lines. And BJ is the worst actor ever, and it's such a good moment where he's like reading it.
You Nazi bastard. Like
he's terrible. He's like, I'll kill you, you Nazi. Like, he's awful, but it's really well done how bad he is. And so Hitler's like, you're fucking terrible. Like, I don't want you in this movie, whatever. And one thing that I don't know if you saw, I don't know if we talked about it, if you look at who these people are, like there's a Marlon Brando looking guy who's supposed to be Marlon Brando, and if you read the files on these guys, there's one guy that says Ronald something, and it's like coffee stain on the last name. If you look at the back of his chair, it's Ronald Reagan.
No way! Wow. Okay.
It was an actor, one of the actors, and sure enough, Hitler kills Ronald Reagan.
That's
it's just
so
like one of the weirdest.
Yeah.
Like, this game is like fucking insane. But yeah, so the scene with Hitler, the line reading, it was just super well done.
And then Hitler's laying there, and you got to act this out, and you have the opportunity to kick Hitler in the face.
Yeah, as you're walking by, it's like right stick to kick.
And then when you do that, you get shot and you die. But I did that about 7 times, just to walk by and kick him in the face, and then you die. I gotta do that again.
Someone made a joke that's like, you can tell by the trophy history if you want to be friends with this person or not. Because if they didn't kick Hitler as they walked away, then they're not my friends.
I did that about 7 times, just like, yeah.
It was great. But, that game... So let's talk about the game itself. I just wanted to say some of my favorite moments with it. But the game itself is absolutely incredible because it totally...
The story is...
But it marries this serious story where anyone can die, like I said, and this really awesome... political stuff.
It deals with racism and fascism.
But it does everything so well. But it also has a lot of human moments, a lot of fun moments, a lot of touching moments. Yeah. There's stuff in between your missions, you go to this hub, which is like a submarine, and you're basically, interacting with all the characters. And all the writing is so good.
It's amazing.
Some of the character moments, seeing Max Haas become an artist and stuff, and like all his paintings and stuff, like so cool. This game is super special. I think it's definitely top 5.
No, I agree, and I agree.
I don't think it should be 6.
And just all the characters too. Anya saving your butt at the end,
Yeah.
that was just so cool. When she's got blood all over her, and she's like
that was a weird moment. That was a moment that I liked because it was like such a good action movie moment. But she like rips her shirt off.
She's pregnant.
She's got a big pregnant belly, and she's covered in blood.
Oh, it was so cool. I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
One thing I didn't love was the credits. Was the worst song I've ever heard in my life. It was terrible. But anyway, I think Wolfenstein deserves top 5, so I'm not going to put it at 6. Okay. I don't know if you agree or not.
I agree. I think Wolfenstein's definitely top 5. Definitely most powerful games.
So the thing for dancing around is Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and Nier. We talked about Pyre. We talked about Night in the Woods.
Now Nier. Let's talk about Nier.
Well, before we do that, I want to get a number 6 in, and I think one of these 2 games is going to be number 6.
Okay, but if it's between Pyre or Night in the Woods, I love Night in the Woods more than Pyre.
I think I do too.
And Pyre was incredible.
Yeah.
Story-wise, gameplay-wise, everything. It's interesting. I was just talking to our buddy Scott about music and how, when you think of a song that you like, you can listen to it for 3 minutes or whatever, however long it is, and be like, that was good. Then it's over. Next track. Or you listen to it and then you just think about it constantly afterwards. And I did think about Pyre a lot, but Night in the Woods just touched me. Yeah. It had like a very
I agree.
touching...
I think Night in the Woods is a top 5 game for us. I want to say quickly about Pyre. The music in Pyre. You remind me to say, holy shit,
it's so
music.
good. So
Some
good.
of those vocal tracks at the end, when you first get to the top, you're playing for the rights,
so good.
And they're singing, the 2 of them.
So good.
I was like, holy shit.
Good music.
Music throughout this game, this is the best soundtrack of the year, in my opinion.
I agree. That or Mario Odyssey, though.
And Nier Automata. I think Pyre is better than all 3.
Okay.
Honestly. But we're putting Pyre number 6.
That's fine.
So right now, we have number 6, Pyre, number 7, Cuphead, number 8, Persona 5, number 9, Horizon Zero Dawn, number 10, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Yep.
So now, we're going to figure out our top 5. And what we're going to have to do this is we're going to talk in depth about Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and Nier Automata before we decide anything. You already heard from us about Wolfenstein and Night in the Woods, but we don't know which one's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Fine.
So let's start with Nier. You only played a few hours of Nier with me.
With you.
I played through the entirety of Nier, got endings A through E, did everything, and goddamn, this game is good. The basic concept of Nier, I'll say off the bat, is third-person action game. It's a lot of combo-type action stuff, a lot like a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta, something like that. Way lighter than that, though. There's not a lot of depth to it. The combat itself is not the selling point. But you're basically this android named 2B. A lot of the stuff, so the reason that this game is great is because it deals with a lot of very serious, like awesome sci-fi themes and really interesting like existential questions. But a lot of the stuff in the first playthrough of Nier is very on the nose. Like literally her name is 2B. Like 2B or not 2B. Like are they sentient? Like do they have feelings? It's like, all right, you're a little on the nose here, but it's like when you start getting into the depths of that game, my God, it does some stuff. So off the bat, I'm going to say you're an android. You have this partner named 9S, who is also an android. You're sent to Earth, which is like an overgrown version of Earth. It's, no humans live there. You're sent there to destroy all machines. That's your goal, okay? The machines that you're destroying are basically basic machines that used to, be labor machines or do certain simple tasks. They weren't designed with any intelligence or sentience, so okay? So you go to Earth, you very quickly realize as the machines are like yelling for help as you're killing them, you're realizing that something may not be exactly how it seems. So that's when Nier really kicks in. The story about... So playthrough A is a pretty standard story where it's like, all right, this is cool sci-fi. Like you see some little bits and pieces of what makes it interesting. But as you move on through the story, you start to realize that the main characters, 9S and 2B, are like questioning themselves. We were created. How are we any different than the machines? Like that sort of stuff. Pretty run-of-the-mill sci-fi. But the stuff that's really good is as you get into the second playthrough, you start to learn about the machines and how they came to be and stuff. So you'll get little clips that basically explain the world, and it's like little they're little pieces that are basically telling you from the machine's perspective like what happened in the world. Some of my favorite moments in the game is the endings are really good. Endings C and D are great because you basically get to the top, and 9S is so deranged at this point that he's so detached from reality that he's just killing everything he sees. And 9S gets to the end, and he ends up fighting this other main character, A2, and you're having a big fight, and you get to choose who to play as, either A2 or 9S. If you choose 9S, he basically kills her, and he's like blood all over him. He's like, you didn't learn anything. That's a bad ending, pretty much. If you're A2, you take out 9S, you shut him down, and your pod goes and takes him somewhere. But what the big, we're obviously we're skipping across a bunch of really interesting stuff in here. But the big thing that's really interesting to me is the ending of ending E, which I showed you just before.
Yeah.
You're playing through this like bullet hell where you're shooting the credits. It's like a cool little ending thing. And it gets so difficult at a certain point that you can't do it by yourself. Like, you physically can't. So you're thinking in your head, like, am I just fucking up a little bit? Should I try doing this? Or is it impossible? So after your third time dying and getting to that point, it's like, do you want to continue on? And it's like, yeah, I want to continue on. I'm not giving up. So you continue on, you try again, you die again. And that's like, is this all worth it? And it's like, yeah, it's worth it. I'm going to try again. And then eventually it's like, are you sure you want to continue? Yes. And then it's like a help request is sent in from such and such, and it looks like a player's actual name. I'm like, like, do you accept your request? Yeah, accept it. Then you get 5 ships around you, and the music swells. It becomes like...
That's beautiful.
It becomes like
it's like a symphony kind of.
Multiple voices instead of just the one voice. And it's like, you feel like you're really working together with these guys. So you become this group of 5 ships that's going through, destroying all the credits. You get to the end, whenever you take a hit, it'll say like, so-and-so died. Like Tom blank died. I was like, okay, that's weird. You get to the end, and basically they ask you, they're like, do you want to help somebody else that's in need as these people helped you? It's like, yeah, I would like to do that. Okay, are you sure you want to do that, even if, what if the person you're helping is someone you don't even like? And it's like, yeah, well, I'd still help them out. They need help. So it asks you a series of questions, then it's like, if you choose yes, all your saved data will be deleted.
Right.
And it's like, what? You wait for a minute, you're like, is it actually going to be deleted, or are they messing with me? And then you go on with it, and it's like, are you truly sure you want to do this? Yes. You do it. The game literally shows your screen, deleted, like it deletes all your side quests, all your progression, everything's getting systematically deleted. Then it's game over screen. It's like ending E, that's it. You go back into your game, it's not there. It's deleted from the game. So what you're doing is you're providing one of those ships for that person to get through the end of the credits by giving up your whole save data.
And that's the whole point of you sacrifice
and
yourself.
All of the game's themes, we cannot, it'll take us 4 hours to touch on everything that makes Nier Automata great. These are just small examples where I'm like, this game is something super special and something I've never played before, and it's way up there for me on this list.
I love it. Then I love everything, and I wish I got to play more of it. But I can already tell that's something beautiful, and even just even playing it with you, and then the clips that you showed me, it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And
the detractors from this game are the combat gets a little tedious. I played it for 45 hours by the end. It gets to be a little tedious, the combat, like most games. But I would say the story is one of my favorite stories ever in a game, and that totally propels it way up there for me.
Well, that's why I feel like these two kind of have that same sort of feeling, Wolfenstein and Nier, where it's like these stories are so incredible, and some of the moments are just so wow. But the combat can get a little. So I'd see these two side by side.
I can see that, yeah.
4 or 5, and either
Well, we won't say that yet because Nier for me is way up there. So
Okay.
I think Wolfenstein is probably going to be 5, maybe 4. But let's jump into these two guys, Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. Let's talk about Mario first.
Okay.
Mario just came out in October, pretty recently, pretty fresh in our brains.
And it blew my mind.
It's incredible, yeah. You've already seen at this point our ranking of Marios. You know this is very high on the list.
Yeah.
Let's talk about why we think it's a really good Mario game.
I think everything from
It's in the same lineage of Mario 64, Mario Galaxy. It's
Right.
that same type of that same type of 3D gameplay. But what do you like specifically about it?
and that's always I love Mario, and it's like, what makes a good Mario game? And it's interesting, it's intriguing. It's really just the environments and just the worlds and the cool things that you can do. The whole throwing your hat mechanic might seem like a silly gimmick, but there are times where you throw your hat and you become Charge and Chuck, you become Yoshi, you become Bowser. I mean, it's just things where you're just like,
We'll talk about that moment for sure.
That's insane. That's one of the greatest. I know how much you love that Bowser moment just as much as I did. Where it's just like, this is one of the most amazing Mario moments. You're at the end of the game, and Bowser's like knocked out, and you're in this area. And you're like, well, how are we supposed to get out of here? Oh, Bowser! Just,
so cool. I would say,
the
reason I love Odyssey is, a lot of people are upset there's so many moons in it, blah, blah, blah. I think it's just, much like Breath of the Wild, it is purposeful in where it puts these moons and where it points you to go. So it's like, everything you do in Odyssey, it'll be like, oh, see that little crack? Let me go over there. And then there's a whole secret thing back there.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look. It is so densely packed with interesting and fun things to do. It is absolutely incredible. And to talk about moments specifically, that moment where you're fighting Bowser, it's the end, you're like, the walls are falling down, he's like knocked out, and you just throw your hat on him, and then you become Bowser in 3D, and you start mashing through these blocks. Incredible. And then to make it even better, you go inside a freaking tube to become 2D, and you're 2D Bowser from the original Mario Bros. From Super Mario Bros. And he's got Peach on his back, and he's jumping. I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Such a good moment. So to pair that with then, after you beat the game, the first world you're allowed to go to is Mario 64 Hub World, Mario Odyssey's version of it.
Yeah.
It's a Mushroom Kingdom. You get to explore the outside. You jump into paintings like that.
Yoshi's on the roof, just like he was when you get the 120
that
stars.
That sequence of moments was just so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And even before that, I was like, I love this game. It's up there for me. But once I had that series of moments, I was like, this is one of my favorite Mario games ever.
Definitely.
It's way up there.
Definitely. I think Mario Odyssey needs to be top 3. Definitely.
Yeah, agreed. Top 3, no doubt.
I also think Breath of the Wild needs to be top 3.
Yeah, we'll talk about Breath of the Wild real quick. I want to say about Odyssey. The one detractor I have, the one thing that I'm not a huge fan of is there are a couple worlds that I'm just not a huge fan of.
That's fair.
There's a lake world that's kind of bland. There's the snow world that's really small and bland. It's like I'm a little disappointed with a few of them, but the good ones are good enough where I just absolutely
the good ones
love
are some of them are just so incredible that it's just these are some of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, everything the same thing with Mario 64. I love Mario 64. I feel like our Mario episode, I was hating on Mario 64 a little bit. I love Mario 64, but like for me, when I think of Mario 64, it's like those first 4 or 5 levels where I'm just like, oh my god. Like some of the levels of Mario Odyssey, I put up with Bomb Battlefield.
Yeah.
I put up there, with all
no
those,
doubt about it. I think the Steam Gardens is way up there
love
for
that
me.
one, yeah,
definitely. And that freaking music in that. Oh my god, so good.
I tell you, the music in the Forgotten Isle, check it out. That's bellissimo.
All right, Mario Odyssey, we're gonna say is top 3.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, let's talk about it. It's also going to be top 3, but let's talk about it.
And I'm also, as big as a Mario fan, I'm also as big as a Zelda fan.
Mm-hmm. Tell me what you love about Breath of the Wild.
Could be the greatest Zelda game. And what's so funny about this is when I talk about... Remember when Skyrim came out, and I was like, wow, this is so cool, I love this. Oh man, it would be so cool? I don't know if I said this to you, but I know I've said this to many people. How cool would it be if Legend of Zelda did a Skyrim? How cool would it be if Legend of Zelda did that sort of open world thing where you can interact with characters, you can get your items, you can make things, you can buy things, you can go anywhere you want. here we go, Breath of the Wild.
They did it.
It's everything that I ever dreamed a Zelda game would be. And
They did it,
and knocked it out of the park.
and they did it better.
Yeah.
And they made one of the best games ever made.
Agreed.
Breath of the Wild is so special.
Yeah.
It is. A lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people, because a lot of people love this game. Some people do not like this game because they don't consider it a Zelda game. And to those people, I say, screw you. Because this is such a Zelda game. What I don't understand is, what do you want just the same thing over and over again? Is that what these people want, that are saying this isn't a Zelda game that they want?
Well, that's the same thing people detract with Zelda 2 or even Castlevania 2 or Mario 2.
Don't even do that. Yeah. Say Ocarina of Time. That was a brand new Zelda.
Yeah, sure, different.
And somehow everyone loves Ocarina of Time. It's like, I don't get you people, because Link to the Past is one of the best games ever made, and so is Ocarina of Time. It's like they made a Zelda game, but in a totally different way. And that's what Breath of the Wild is. I think there is... what I said about Odyssey, where everywhere they make you look, there's something interesting. Breath of the Wild is... There is always a reward where you're trying to do. It's like, there's this huge mountain. There's no reason for me to go up there except for my own curiosity. And when you get to the top of that, there is something for you. Whether it's a treasure chest or whether it's... I found a really good snow vest at the top of a mountain. And it's like... They made exploration feel like real exploration. Yeah. And it was the first game to ever do that, in my opinion.
And that's what's so funny is when the original Zelda came out, I mean, I feel like that was probably what people loved about it. Like, wow, I can explore, I can go do all these things, and now here you go.
This captures the original Zelda more than any other Zelda game.
Hands down.
And the reason that I love this game so much is because it really did the waypoints that are on your map, you created. There are very few waypoints that are in the game.
Yeah.
You're getting up on the tower and you're looking around and saying, "Hey, there's a shrine there. I see it. Let me mark it.
I gotta go.
I'm gonna mark it on my map.
That's happening over there. Let me go check that out." Yeah.
It is it gives you that childlike sense of wonder that I have not experienced in a game in so long.
Yeah.
You know, I could name 100 moments that I absolutely loved. When you for the first time, when you see one of those dragons flying through the sky.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're like, what the heck is that?
What is this? What is this game?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand this. And it kept that up throughout the entire game.
Perfect. I would say it's a perfect game. I would say it's perfect. I can't think of one thing that I did not like about the game. I really... And
it's the best Zelda game ever made.
And you know what? I know that's crazy to say that, but
it's not crazy to say that.
You know... I love Majora's Mask. That was always my favorite. I have such a hard time being like, well, Breath of the Wild and but Breath of the Wild might be my favorite because I think it's definitely the best out of all of them.
So now you know our feelings on all of these games. We talked about them. Now we have to rank them. And here's what I'm going to say. We love Night in the Woods. No denying that. I think Nier, for me, is number 2 behind Breath of the Wild. But I know that you love Mario Odyssey.
I think, for me, Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, 1-2.
So, here's what I'm going to say. I think Nier needs to go 3 over Night in the Woods.
Okay, so explain why Nier over Night in the Woods.
Nier, you would have to play the whole game to understand it, and I know that's a shitty thing to say, but Nier, I have never experienced something like Nier ever.
Okay.
And it had such an impact on me to the point where Night in the Woods is one of the most well-written stories I've ever experienced. Nier is a masterpiece. Nier, for me, Nier is better than Mario Odyssey, and I know that wouldn't be that way for you. But to play the entire game and to experience all these little moments, all the side quests that are really great, all these moments that change the perspective on you, put you in someone else's eyes. The opening of one of these levels, listen to this, I'll just give you a real quick snippet. When you start your second playthrough, the first thing you do is you control one of the machines, the basic machines. And what you're doing is you basically, the beginning of the playthrough, you're this machine and you're looking at this other machine who's dying, and you're like, "No, brother, I need to save you, brother." And you walk over and you see there's like a thing that's pouring oil out, and you pick up this basket as a machine and you jump over to the oil, and it's really like hard to control and shitty because you're a simple machine. You put oil in this basket, you jump back over to your friend, you're like spilling the oil the whole time because you can't do anything right, you're a stupid machine, and you're pouring oil into your brother to try to save his life. And then it zooms out to 9S, and he's watching, and he's like, stupid machine, you don't even know what you're doing.
Wow.
And he walks on. And it's like, that is just one tiny moment of 100 of them.
Oh my God. See,
and
to me,
it's fucking incredible.
Wow.
This game, I'm telling you, this game is a masterpiece.
Wow.
But, see, for me, my list, Nier is number 2.
Wow. Okay.
Ahead of Mario Odyssey.
So
that's why I'm saying I think at least it needs to be number 3 for me.
And that's so tough because I didn't play through all of Nier. I guess all I played was what I played with you and what you showed me. All right. I think we could agree Wolfenstein 5.
Yeah, Wolfenstein's 5. Would you settle for Night in the Woods at 4? Or do you think it should be above Nier?
The only reason I would is because I didn't play through all of Nier. Night in the Woods has moments like, well, I love Night in the Woods. It is all the reasons you love Night in the Woods. It's just so cool how here it is, it's a bunch of animals, and there's just moments where you're just like so relatable and just like, oh crap, like, you know, I've done crappy things like that, or oh crap, I've sometimes I've said stupid stuff, or oh man, like
it totally.
Maybe I feel like I'm not being listened to, or just things like that. It
totally captures every human feeling. Like, it is a really good representation.
And everything from, oh man, like May's like, oh, there's this really cute girl I saw like at the party, like I want to go back and talk to her, but I'm nervous. Like, it's things like that where you're just like, oh, like we've all been there, you know, just like things like that.
It. I'm a huge fan of Night in the Woods.
But I'm okay. I'm actually very happy that it's this high. I'm actually very surprised that we made it.
Night in the Woods for me, it's an incredible game. I wouldn't have had it anywhere lower.
I think when it comes to those story games where, you know, you're just talking and there's no sort of combat or anything like that, I think it's the best of them.
I agree.
Even better than, I love Gone Home, even better than Firewatch.
It's different. It's much more of a character story. You know what I mean? Like, it's a full story. It's not just like a character.
When this game ended,
examination.
Okay, so I just played this game recently. I just played it last week, and I was driving home, and there's like some music, like it's like this techno-y kind of music, like this kind of music, and it was in my head, and I was just like, oh, like I'm kind of sad that the game's over. I really was happy playing that.
And all the little things in Night in the Woods too, like going to, do you remember the girl's name that did the like slam poetry, like the rapper? Do you know who I'm talking about? The bear that sits on the stoop.
Oh, Summers. Summers, right?
That's her name?
I think she does like the corny poems, and then she's at this poetry thing, and she does this amazing poem.
Yes.
I think it's Summers.
Is it Summers?
I think it's Summers. She got like the purple or pink.
I know who it is. I didn't remember her name. I haven't played it since February. But everything with that's what I'm talking about. That's one example of so many great stories that are just so good, and you
can skip them.
You can totally skip them, yeah. And the stuff with did you do all the stuff with the telescope?
Oh yeah, I loved it all. Yeah. I loved it all.
There's so much good in that game.
Like, I love, even like we're just gonna this.
I'm telling you, and I'm not just saying this as like hey, all these games are great. Like, everyone deserves an award. These 4 games, most years would be number 1.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm serious. Night in the Woods could be game of the year.
I'm so glad I finally got to play that game.
Me too, man.
I even just with Summers, I just love, you go to Summers and she's like, oh, I wrote this poem. And it's like, I'm happy, you're sad, it's a good day. And then you're at this poetry competition
and she writes this crazy,
and she's like, my soul is like a butterfly. Like, it's just like, where did this come from? Like, it's I'm happy with it at 4? 5.
I think it should be 4.
Having said that, I'm torn because I didn't get to play all of Nier, so that's tough. And what you showed me, I loved, and heart wrenching, and it's very Blade Runner-esque, and that's why I'm into it. But I can't imagine. For me, Breath of the Wild and Mario have to be back to back.
Okay, I'll settle for that. I don't agree, but I think as a circle back game of the year, I think these are the top 2, no doubt. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's even close. I think Breath of the Wild.
I think Breath of the Wild, hands down,
easily.
I think this is the reasons why. I think Breath of the Wild is a perfect game.
Yes, me too.
And there's very few perfect games ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Like Breath of the Wild.
I'm telling you, when this shakes out, man, like Breath of the Wild will be in my top 5 games ever made.
Amen.
And I'm serious, but I'm not It is better. It is. I like it more than any other Zelda game. I like it more. And I know, like, it just came out this year. Got to give it time. It's not going to change. I'm telling you.
This game is absolutely incredible. I think of certain games, right? We've done our top games and games that just stick with you. Like when I think of like last year, like a game like The Witness for me was a perfect game. Where that game 10 years from now, I will still be talking about the game. I will still be playing that game. I will still be thinking about what that game did.
Yeah, me too. I love The Witness.
So when I think of not only do I think that Breath of the Wild is one of the best games of this year, I think it's one of the best games of all time. And I feel the same about The Witness and a lot of... Yeah. There's games where I've had years where I say, well, this is my favorite game this year.
But it's not...
That wouldn't be greatest games of all time.
Yeah, I hear you.
Breath of the Wild, I think.
I do want to quickly say about Breath of the Wild, I want to give you 2 quick examples of what I love about this game. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, I will preface by saying the overarching story, like any Zelda game, nothing great. This game does some cool stuff with some of the past Zelda games that's really interesting. I like some of the new characters a lot. Mm-hmm. But the reason that this game is great is because of the systems that are in it. The systems apply to everybody and everything in this game. Yeah. So an example is, in a classic Zelda fashion, if you attack one of the cuckoos, which are the chickens, you attack it, a bunch of cuckoos come in and fly and attack you, right? That's just a Zelda thing. That happens in a lot of Zelda games. You can use that in this game to go after an enemy. And I had one of these giants I was trying to fight. I had a cuckoo in my hands, because it won't attack you if it's just in your hands if you don't attack it. I threw it at a giant as it was swinging. It hit the cuckoo, and then it started getting attacked by all the cuckoos because it hurt it. So it got killed in like 2 seconds by these monstrous chickens, and it was just like, that's so fucking cool. Incredible. Yeah. Like, why would that work? Like, they give you all these tools that shouldn't work, and they just work. I'll give you another one. I chopped down a tree. There's this lake. In the middle of the lake, there's this item that I really want, right? I can't get to it. I don't have enough stamina to get to swim to the middle of the lake. I don't have enough stamina to jump from a cliff to get to the middle of the lake. So I chop down a tree near the lake. I roll the log to the edge of the lake. I face it, I whack it a little bit, face it in the direction I want it to face. I freeze it in time with stasis. I whack it with a club a bunch to get some momentum. I jump on top of the log. When the stasis unfreezes, the log shoots across the lake, bounces, and now I'm right next to where I need to get the thing. It's like, I have never played a game that's this incredible as far as a systems thing. Everyone knows the electricity travels through the metal stuff, so if you're trying to get one thing to light up from this, you can do this whole big puzzle. Or, hey, I have 10 metal swords. I'm going to make a big line of electricity to light that up for me. It's like... It is
just the imagination, and like you have to use your imagination.
Yes.
Talk about puzzle solving.
This is a exploration game that really puts everything on you.
Yeah.
Everything is on you. There's nothing that is like that's why when we compare it to something like Skyrim, it's like the reason we love Skyrim is because the Thieves Guild quest is really cool and you can do this.
Right, of course.
It's like, it's not because of all these crazy systems. Because they don't make games like that. Nobody makes games like that. I've never played a game like Breath of the Wild, and I think that's an easy #1 this year. Among incredible games, this is with the best top 10 I've ever seen.
Seriously, and even some of the games that are on the floor right now, like any other year.
This year was absolutely incredible. Zelda Breath of the Wild would be Game of the Year probably 19 out of 20 years. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's incredible. I absolutely love this game. So, then with that, I'm going to read our final top 10 list. And we're going to wrap up. So we're going 10 to 1. Number 10, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Number 9, Horizon Zero Dawn. Number 8, Persona 5. Number 7, Cuphead. Number 6, Pyre. Number 5, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Number 4, Night in the Woods. Number 3, Nier Automata. Number 2, Super Mario Odyssey. And number 1, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. That's Circle Back's top 10 games of 2017.
Wow.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this very long podcast.
And I just want to say, To our man Shelby. We couldn't
Shelby,
do without him.
we love
Seriously.
you. I'm sorry for spoiling all these games that you want to
Yeah,
play.
no,
but
Shelby's
we
the
love
man.
You, Shelby.
He's the hero. So thank you, Shelby.
But thank you very much, and catch us next week, same time, Monday.
We'll see you next year.
Well, we'll see you again before next year. But
okay.
Dan,
that'd be cool.
Appreciate it anyway. Peace. What's up, guys? It's Dan from Circle Back. I'm just here to let you know you can find everything that we do at circlebackgaming.com. If you just want the podcast, we're on iTunes. If you just want the video, we're on YouTube. So catch us either place. Thanks.